Rich Mitch, I'm only doing this for you. But before I get into Watch Talk, guys, I need to hear about where the dragon soars. So let's listen to that clip and get into it, guys.
Archie, luxury jumps on a Boeing jet, leaves behind a family, no regrets. He's got a birthday on your old Shanghai, eyes are on Mrs. Lai, the reason why. While in Brisbane, the tears roll strong. Chinese whispers called him to Hong Kong. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave behind the begging for the Luxy show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Archie's chasing dreams in the mystic land. Mrs. Lai brings coffee to his hand. Family's calls echo on the phone. He's miles away, lost but he's not alone. In old Shenzhen's glow, he likes to stray. With Mrs. Lai they bonk till the light of day. Pack up your bags and off you go. He's not showing up to New York watch show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Though the tears roll down in Brisbane town, Archie's 3-inch dick flops all around. Celebrations in the neon night, forgetting home he's chasing new Asian delight. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave the begging for the beach ball show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Weeks later, Archie leaves his playground, comes back home, he's Brisbane bound. Comes up with stories that he's going bust, has to fool the punters to gain their trust. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave the begging for the beach ball show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Archie spent the punter's money, he's in a fix. Spins a story that he can't eat bricks. All the lonely simps believe his scam. Grab all their cash, shove it in his hand. Pack up your bags and off you go. He didn't bother with the New York watch show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Comes on streams, he cries poor again. His mate 10 gives him $5 grand, maybe 10. Archie thinks he's a big swing dick, cause the punters fall for his gypsy shtick. Pack up your bags and off you go. Didn't bother with the New York watch show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore.
Welcome to the program. Welcome to the show, guys. This is the ARCHIELUXURY live channel and the ARCHIELUXURY main channel, guys. I am your host for now, Patel Philippe. Archie will be on in about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes. I don't exactly know when Big Boy shows up, but I'll be doing some watch talk at least for that hour and a half for you guys. And as we always do, we're going to start by saying hello to everybody in the chat. 34 people joining me. Appreciate all the viewership, guys. First in the chat was our boy BCBC, always telling us it's pure shit. I always find it funny, BCBC, whenever Archie actually looks at the comments and sees your comment and tries to like delete it or some shit, because he doesn't really know that you say this every single day. So shout out to BCBC. We got Rich Mitch. Now, Rich Mitch, I said at the start of the show, I'm doing this for you, man. I know that you've been starving for that watch talk. And look, I've been, I don't know, last couple of days, I've just been a little not in the mood for watch talk. I hopped on Higgy's show yesterday, just briefly and whatnot. But yeah, I was feeling it today. You know, Vacheron 222 came out. Want to talk about that, the Royal Oak. And obviously, you know, whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat, feel free. You don't need a super chat. But if you do, you know, it's greatly appreciated. But if not, I'll definitely be just bouncing ideas, bouncing topics off you guys in the chat, and happy to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about when it comes to Watch Talk. We got Watch Nicholas in the chat. Now, I'm running a banner at the bottom. Watch Nicholas will be covering, you know, all that Tim O'Sheen type drama every single night for your viewing pleasure. So, you know, you don't gotta wait till Saturday, guys. It's coming to you every single night. And I know that Watch Nicky's got a pretty big story tonight, so stay tuned for that. That will be happening after this show, usually around between 5:30 and 6 Pacific, or 8:30 and 9 Eastern, where we link to watch Nicholas's show for all that watch drama that you guys crave. We got Frank V, who says Fatso. Now Fatso will be here soon, Frank V, and we'll definitely address all of these nasty vinyl comments from Frank V. Got Rohit in the chat. Nice to see you, Rohit. For those that are new, that are kind of watching the live streams for the first time, we do obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we're multi-streaming to both the live stream channel as well as the Archie Luxury channel. And often a lot of the folks that are viewing it on the Archie Luxury channel, they may see comments coming in and they don't see in the chat. Well, it's because they're comments on his live stream channel. But we are seeing a lot of new viewership from that. So if you guys are interested in hopping on the panel, I call this the Archieverse live stream, not the Archie Luxury live stream, because everybody's invited to just hop on, talk watches, and just kind of enjoy the community as we do. We got Nato in the chat. Nice to see you, Nato. We got Terry Civil. Watch Austin, who says early. Yeah, Terry, I was a little, I was feeling a bit of watch talk, and I don't know how much you're going to get out of Archie, so thought I'd get my fix before old Big Boy showed up. We got Mike the Snake in the chat. Nice to see you, Mike the Snake. Mike went on to watch Nicholas's show yesterday. It was a really good time. Sturdy Danny was there. It was a lot of fun. Always good to hear from Mikey, and hopefully Mikey will be on with Archie a little later. But yeah, I'm just going to be talking some watches, Mikey. Talk about the Vacheron. Talk about the Royal Oak. We got Rob Filmer. Hello. We got Woof. Saying a pretty bad comment that I don't agree with. We got Rohit R. I'll take a VC222 over an I think it means AP Royal Oak any day. This is going to be a controversial one for us today, Rohit. I'll be showing you guys obviously the new 222. I think everybody who's watching this show has likely seen something about it, and just kind of comparing my thoughts with I've owned a Royal Oak. I've owned the Nautilus 5711 Blue Dial. So I'll give you kind of my perspective on, as maybe a potential buyer of the VC222, or, what would deter me, or what I think is going to deter a lot of people from that watch. We got JCB in the chat. Shout out to Mrs. Lai. Shout out to you, JCB. We got Orban Colossus. Does the 222 with its cross design suggest religion, or is it a logo? Discuss. Thank you. Yeah, honestly, Orban, it's not just I don't know if it's the 222 itself. I mean, Vacheron symbol is the Maltese cross, and Patek Philippe, so the Calatrava cross, which does have religious connotations, I guess you could say. What I feel that the brands are exuding that today, probably not. I mean, the brands kind of do whatever they do, and a lot of it is centered around money. So I don't really think religion's really a factor in here. I think it's more historic, you could say, but that's kind of the way I see it for him. But it's not just VC, right? Patek Philippe also is very similar to that. Hey Nathan, nice to see you, man. Good to see you in the chat. Jeremy Kearney, Tan, thoughts on the Panerai Radomir Oro Rosso watch for you to. Let me pull this up for you here. Panerai Radomir Oro Rosso 42 mil. All right, let's pull this up. Okay, here's a 42 mil from at McDowell's. McDowell's, not the fast food spot from Coming to America. McDowell's. All right, let's look at this Panerai. So, not showing anything on the screen here. There you go for you, Jeremy. Jeremy, I don't know if this is the one you're specifically looking at. I like the Radomir in the sense that it was the first, when a lot of people think of Panerai, they think of the Luminor, but the Luminor actually came after the Radomir. The Radomir was the watch used by Italian frogmen in the Second World War. So I always have an affinity for the Radomir for that purpose. The one thing for me, Jeremy, Panerai's manual wind, they're steel, they're tool watches, and the gold is really, I think, where I have a problem with this. I don't really have a problem with the size. I don't really have a problem with the Radomir. It's mostly the gold. And to me, Panerais are tool watches, and it pains me to see those in gold. And often, and people, you could even say, Tan, you're being a hypocrite. You like the gold sub, which is true, but I think Panerais, Rolex is known to be a luxury watch status symbol. So I think Rolex can kind of get away with it. Panerai is a relatively unknown brand to the general public, and history-wise, for me, I'm a real, a big buff on the story and the history stuff. So for me, Panerais have to be steel or it's not precious metal. They're meant to be tool watches, and I think that's really where Panerai is struggling right now. They branch out past their core, and they kind of lose their identity. I think Panerai doesn't really have an identity right now. It should be known for its It's tool watches, it's dive watches. You could dive tool watches, but like for me, they just for it has to it just can't be gold. I can't do a gold Panerai Jeremy. That's the only beef I have with it. If you don't pick the gold, I think it would be just fine. I like and look, I like the Radomir personally. I know it's not a very popular thing, but if you understand the history of Panerai, the Radomir is pretty historic. Former Colossus Surly Danny's now officially Surly Danny when Bogans attack him. Yes, yes, yes. Mike the Snake Vacheron is one of my favorite brands. Doesn't get the credit deserves, in my opinion. You rock 10. Yeah, you know what? Vacheron is a tough one because in the Trinity, when we kind of think of the Trinity, Patek Philippe is everybody is like, yeah, Patek's in the Trinity, right? And AP, as much as people are looking at AP as a one-trick pony with the Royal Oak, it's still just a very highly sought after watch, and people kind of give it a pass and say, "Yep, Trinity." But when it comes to Vacheron itself, like it's a brand that is primarily dress watches. I don't believe Vacheron has a lot of depth to the brand. I think it's just it's a lot of dress watches. It's just not like the complications aren't that interesting. Like Patek, who could say, "Well, we invented the perpetual calendar," or they were kind of the known for the world time. Like when Vacheron does a world time, it's not really that interesting. So what I really like in Vacheron myself, Mikey, is I like the métier d'art pieces. I'll pull up Vacheron's website. I'm going to give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about when it comes to old VC. But let's just go to this tab here, collections. I just don't see a lot of depth here, right? You got sports lineup for the overseas, which is great. Patrimony dress watch lineup, traditional again dress watch lineup. Don't really understand why they need these two. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Kind of I think cannibalizes itself. Historique one, a little bit different. I get this side 56. They're talking about more their entry level group here. Égérie is not where I think what most guys are going to be looking at, and then we can get into the métier d'art, which is really their art pieces, and I think they really shine here. I know that the kind of digital date and everything else is not for everybody, but for me, I think that their artwork pieces are just spectacular. These are very limited. Some are like 1 of 3, 1 of 5. But for me, if I was looking at Vacheron, I'd be looking at kind of this one. This is one of my favorite runs. This is their tribute to great civilizations. They're talking about the ancient Persian civilization. It's the line of Darius here. You can see kind of like cuneiform script on the dial, the lion. For anybody who's from Persia, from Iran, would know that the previous flag had this kind of like the lion on it and whatnot. So it is historic. It's just a really cool looking piece to me. And I just this is kind of for me what Vacheron is. And it's just a brand that itself has no real identity. And I think that's going to be very relevant to the conversation today about the 222 as we get into it. But I'm happy to see there's a lot of interest in the topic. JCP overseas over 222 fan club type 1. Look, I think that's the conclusion. Some folks are coming to. A lot of folks are, like Rohit earlier said, he would take a 222 over a Royal Oak even. Let alone an overseas for that matter. So, Frank V, I like the green dial rose gold Radomir matches with the Pelican M1000 found. But yeah, look, Frank V, they're good looking watches. Don't get me wrong. Like, if Jeremy Kearney wanted to buy that watch because he likes the look of it and wants the gold, like, yeah, that's the reason why it's not for me is because, like I said, I buy a lot of watches. I really get deep into the history of a brand and understanding their core. And for me, if it deviates from that or what I think is what the brand represents, it kind of I'll go to better brands that do what they're trying to do, at kind of that most top level. So I'll give you an example, Frankie. Like for me, I've owned Patek Philippe sport watches. I'm not the biggest fan of them because it's not really their core, right? Their core is the complicated dress watch. So when I'm buying Patek Philippe's, I'm really zoning in on the complicated dress watch. If I want a sports watch, I go to Rolex. I mean, Rolex is king. When it comes to sport watches, like you're not going to get better, right? You might get a better finished watch, from a Nautilus, but like you're not going to get a gold sub is a fantastic watch. It's probably, top notch in that sense. So for me, I stick to the core. And if I'm looking for a gold diver, like I won't be looking at Panerai. I'll be looking at Rolex in that sense. Nathan says, I focus on profitable way of collecting if I need to sell my collection for emergency funds. Makes sense. Sorry, Danny in the chat. Tan, what's your thoughts on the Piaget Polo? I've come around to really liking it. Never been a fan of the Polo, man. I remember they released a perpetual calendar, I think last year in green. for Piaget, for me, Danny, it's always been about like Piaget's always been kind of seeking that ultra thin watch, and we talked about it this morning on the morning show where Piaget's released an Altiplano skeleton cloisonné enamel piece. The enameling was actually done by Anita Porcher, considered the best enamelist kind of in the world right now. So I'm more of the Altiplano kind of thin Piaget type of fan. I don't really like their, and again, right, this is exactly the same as I was describing to Jeremy, right? Like, I'm not going to seek a sports watch from Piaget, right? I'm going to get a sports watch from Rolex. Rolex makes the best sports watch out there, bar none, point blank, end of discussion. So for me, I don't seek sport watches at other brands, and I encourage people to buy brands for their core, not for you just want to add, because most of the time, if you really think of watch collectors, Danny, are primarily just sports watch collectors. You should add that asterisk to I'm a watch collector. I'm a sports watch collector is really what they should be saying, because then they're like, well, look, I buy sports watches from all brands, whether that's Patek Philippe or Rolex or Omega or whoever it may be. For me, as a watch collector, I don't just buy sports watches. I have dress watches, I have sports watches, and I like to enjoy. I don't believe they're for different occasions necessarily. Um, I think that you can wear a nice leather strap, or you can wear a rubber strap, based on weather or based on your wardrobe, and or just like for the fuck of it, right? Like, a lot of you guys have seen me. I'll run a quick clip here for you guys. It's not like I'm exactly wearing a tuxedo in this clip, if I could ever find it. Here we go. Let's see what old Patel Philippe is wearing in this clip with Bear.
So in front of Lange Unzone with my man, Tanda Man.
Yes, sir.
And it's a triple split.
Triple split.
Look at that. Amazing. We just came back from Coyard. And we got something special for Pontiff.
We got a little something in here for the Pontiff. And look, as you guys know, as much as I respect Lange, it's only about Patek and pussy, baby.
Patek and pussy. Excellent. Thank you.
Like, you see a baseball cap, a T-shirt, Patek Philippe on the wrist. Like, when people say they're dress watches, right? Like, these are not dress watches. They can be worn with all kinds of attire, and we just kind of got to break down that kind of groupthink in watch collecting. Because look, if you're just into sports watches, like, introduce yourself as a fucking sports watch collector, not a watch collector. A sports watch collector is how it is. Shout out to Bear. I'm glad. I knew this would catfish you, at least in the comments, if I ran a clip with you in it. But yeah, let's kind of look at the topic of today. So when we're looking at the 222, so this 222, and again, I'm not going to go through all the in-depth analysis of this because all the other channels have already covered this. I'm really talking about the 222 in the context of, if you're a buyer of this watch, let's, outside of everything that's new in this watch and everything else, as a buyer, as somebody who's looking at this watch, would you spend this kind of money on a 222, or would you buy a Royal Oak? Or and Nautilus is a bit out of the spectrum in terms of like secondary market, I would say, but I mean, you can get Royal Oaks low 30s right now, and this watch is hovering around that in the Swiss francs range. So you're close between a 222 and a Royal Oak, and you got a kind of a third choice in that group, which is going to be significantly cheaper in the overseas. So those are really the three I think a buyer would be comparing. When they're looking to spend in that low 30s, let's say low 30s to 40K range, right? And you can go 40K and below, essentially. So you can get an overseas, you can get a 222, or you can get a Royal Oak yourself. So how is the buyer going to look at this watch, and where do I feel this watch is good, and where do I feel this watch is not so great? Because we've kind of seen in the chat like differing opinions on, like, would I buy the 222? Some people are saying they would take the 222 over the Royal Oak. Other people are saying that they would take the overseas. I'll tell you, yesterday Tim also did his show, and I was able to type in a comment, and he responded, and Tim Osso's view is overseas all day long over the 222. So a lot of this one, I think, is going to be a little bit polarizing. I don't think it's going to be a slam dunk in either direction. Let's start talking about this watch just in terms of the brand, right? Like, what is this? Like, how does this watch fit into the brand's dynamic? So, as I showed you guys just a few minutes ago, Vacheron Constantin is primarily a dress watch brand. They have a sports lineup, and that sports lineup's always been kind of the third place, in the real integrated bracelets, category. between the Nautilus, the Royal Oak, and kind of this, overseas on the other side, right? Hey, Roy, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Tan here.
Hey, nice to meet you. Thought I'd jump in here and talk a little bit
Absolutely, man.
about the 222.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell me your thoughts, Roy? You just joined us. You've heard me ramble on for about 20 minutes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I was setting this up when you were talking about it. It sounded like you were going that it wasn't quite your thing.
It's not that it's not my thing. I'm mostly talking. I'm taking the perspective of if I'm a buyer and I've got,
Yeah.
let's talk about opportunity cost, 40K or below, right? Would I buy the 222? Would I buy the overseas or would I buy the Royal Oak? And I kind of want to hear your thoughts on the 222. One of the biggest things I think that's going to deter a lot of buyers is the size. Is the size itself. 37 millimeters is small. There's
Headline, I agree.
It's not a wildly popular size, but the one caveat to that, Roy, is that mid-size Royal Oak, the 15550, 15550 or whatever, the mid-size that does sell well for Audemars Piguet. So, want to hear your thoughts. Would this size deter you, or do you think it may just overcome that kind of size gap?
So I'm actually completely okay with it. I've worn like 36 millimeter Datejust and OPs and stuff that weren't mine, but were friends. And it's just one of those things. Like I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and it looks right. It just does. Do I like the way that 40 millimeter Day-Date looks as well? Yes. But when you're actually wearing it and you look down at it, it doesn't look like it's too small. I feel like people are still potentially, in the mindset of the 2000s in a certain respect, even though we've seen the trend away from that.
That's exactly it. I think you're spot on. I'm trying to convince people out there that are listening to YouTube here that between in between that 36 between that 36
the dog.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. We love all pets here. We're very, very pet friendly on this show. So feel free if you want to dox your dog and show us your dog at some point. It's all good.
As long as I can get him not to hit the fucking camera stand.
I'm gonna just address this comment from Richard Greenberg. I'm a Canadian, by the way, Roy. So full disclosure, no AP boutique in Canada. Richard, you know what's something funny? So I have a friend of mine who is a big AP guy, buys a ton of APs, and he actually complained to the North American president of AP saying, hey, like, when are you going to bring a boutique back to Canada? And she was just like, nah, just go to the States. Just cross international borders to buy your luxury goods is what she told us.
And secondly, you guys don't have one in Toronto.
Well, we did, Roy. We had there was an authorized dealer called Royal de Versailles. Great dealer. I used to always go to the Rolex events there, and they used to have AP, and I actually was going to buy a 15400 from them not too long ago, like 2018 maybe.
Yeah. No, that's the whole thing with I've seen it go through the phases where, in the say like 2010s when that 15400 came on, it came on really strong. I think that was something that the market was really looking for at the time, because the 15300, it brought in a lower price point. It brought in a little bit more of a robust watch versus the jumbo, but it always looked a little bit awkward in how thick it was with that design. And I think the 15400, the proportions were just better.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. I owned a 15. I'm gonna pull up a 15400, and I'm gonna show you why I disagree. Yeah, I think here is even a good example. This won't be the 300 versus the 400, but it's going to be the 500. So I skipped the 400. So I own the 300 and I own the 500. So here's kind of the difference here. The difference was, if you look at the one on the left is the 15400. So they used, so they moved to an in-house movement in the 15300, the 39 mil watch. And then they used that same movement when they increased the size from 39 millimeters to 41 millimeters in the 15400. So if you see here on the left, that 15400.
No, I know what you're getting at here, and I understand it. My issue is I don't wear the watch that way, and so the thing that I care about is the aesthetics of it when it's on my wrist. That's the way I'm going to look at it 99.9% of the time. Like half my watches, if they had a solid case back and they were slightly thinner, that would be my preference.
Yeah, for me, I'm into high horology, right? So I'm looping the movement, and look, this is a great movement. It was a good watch.
Yeah.
Just for me, I just felt it was lazy. I felt that they could have done better. And interestingly enough, I don't know what it is, Roy. The 400 on my wrist just did not sit well. And then
Okay.
I had reservations about buying the 500 because I was like, you know what, maybe the 39 mil is better for me. I should go to like a 15202. But
So
I just bit
the
the
part
bullet on
I'll
the
talk
400.
about
Mhm.
is I agree 100% with that not sitting well. I talked about this yesterday with the DSSD that I owned, where the relationship between the lugs and the case back and that geometry there, even if it's not too big for your wrist, it can sit awkwardly. It can sit uncomfortably.
Absolutely. I mean, the DSSD I think is even more pronounced, right? Like you can imagine
Well,
the watch that
but I
on
have
your
the
wrist.
Planet Ocean Big Blue that's the same like size, and it's the same thickness. Like meaningfully, it's no different, except for that relationship between the lugs and the case back made all the difference in the world as far as comfort.
Hmm. Yeah, just for some reason the 500 ended up fitting a lot nicer. Um,
Yeah.
and then I have friends that have the 510 that even like it better. So
Is
I've been
the
on
bracelet more flexible on the 500? Is that part of it?
it was. I mean, I only had it compared to a 300, right? So
Okay.
I
Because
felt
I know the 16202 is more flexible than the 15202.
yeah, it is. And AJ is saying in the chat the 15202 all the way. Yeah, it just at the time. I mean, the 15202 is significantly more expensive than
Yeah.
the 300, 400, 500, 510. But you know what's wild, Roy, is there's just not a lot of love for the jumbo. Like I've asked Archie this question, and a lot of people in the chat this question, and even on other channels. Would you take a 15202 over a 15510? And it's everybody's like 510, 510, 5 all day long, and I'm like,
And
why?
this is where I disagree with like the vast majority of the market out there, and I've always been like that with these integrated bracelet sports watches. Part of the experience for me is that ultra thinness, and so the almost jewelry-like feel of a Nautilus bracelet. People say it feels cheap. I like it. I like it being silky.
Yeah, I think, and that was a big concern over the 222 was the gold bracelet is actually very nice, and
Yeah,
kind of transferring that feel from gold to steel
yeah,
is not very easy. So this is also a factor I think people are going to consider when they try this watch on because it's got a pretty aggressive taper. We'll see that in a picture here in a
yeah.
second. Just I wanted to kind of
Which
talk about
they added to the overseas for this sort of mid-cycle upgrade, which I guess you could call it.
this comment of AK is interesting. So I talked about this earlier, Roy, about the kind of the core of a brand. This is the way I look at collecting, and it doesn't mean it's the right way or anybody should be doing it this way, but I try to understand the history of a brand. What have they historically created? You know, what is kind of their core? And I try to collect that initially before I dive into, further into the collection. And so AK is kind of saying, you should be kind of looking at that for every brand, or do a show on that, which is, I think is a great idea. What about you, Roy? Like, we saw yesterday you have the olive dial dated beautiful watch.
Yeah,
What
the new ombre. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, like,
I don't care. You know, realistically speaking, if some company that doesn't do sports watches or tool watches comes out with an amazing piece, if I like it, I like it. It makes no difference to me. I mean, I do like the heritage of companies. You know, going back through the back catalogs and looking at the history, like that's interesting to me. But I'm not gonna write off what might be an amazing design because arbitrarily they have not dabbled in that before.
yeah, it's funny because watch collectors are very fickle, right? Like when we talk about a
Personal
great
preference.
design.
Everybody does what makes them happy.
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting point you bring up, Roy, because when we talk about design, right? Like it's very difficult sometimes for people to pinpoint a revolutionary design in the modern era, last 5 years, last 10 years, right? Like I ask people like what has been a revolutionary design or revolutionary technical advancement or whatever
Yeah.
in watches in recent, and a lot of people just fail at giving a good answer to that because a lot of it's just recycling and recycling. It's like Hollywood just constantly
Oh yeah.
rebooting everything, right? Like it's just
No, and you're also working with such a small canvas and in a very constrained way. So unless you get into something like MBNF is doing, or certain examples of like the Harry Winston Opus series, well, you're creating an extremely high price bracket at that point.
Yeah.
And then you're creating things that are exceptionally polarizing, because unless you get away from something that looks traditionally like a watch, they've been making wristwatches for 120 some odd years.
Evolution over revolution, right? Like people question even the longevity of some of those MBNFs in the sense of like you're saying, design, taste. Is that going to be relevant? Is people going to like it in 20 years?
Yeah.
But you're even seeing brands that are just ripping them off right now. I mean, the Bel Canto is
Yeah.
pretty much an MBNF, right? Like,
oh, no, I thought it was it looks a lot like an MBNF. I mean, there's you could argue that they took their inspiration for the floating dial and stuff from what didn't Breguet originate that in like the late 1980s, early 1990s with the first release of the Traditional line. So I mean, it's your own. If you're the brand, it's your spin on ideas that have been done before, and unless it's a blatant copy or something, I don't mind if they steal from each other. It's certainly the history of the community amongst these watchmakers. And I mean, I think the hardest thing to do is also create a simple watch. I think the hardest thing is to make an incredibly beautiful, two-hand dress watch, because you're working with so little.
Sorry, I was just readjusting your video there so people can see your face.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. One thing I did say on one of my shows a few weeks ago was I kind of challenged the chat. I said, name me a complication invented in the last, say, 30 years that is more influential than the annual calendar. Now, not a very sexy complication, but very widespread adoption. I mean, Rolex themselves, Patek Philippe invented it in 1996. Rolex has it in the Sky Dweller. I mean, it's everywhere. But nobody.
I would say the thing that was most useful, especially in modern era, that has gone throughout the watch industry technology-wise, is silicon. Because I can't tell you how many times like my wife magnetized her pre-silicon Oyster Perpetual just by working on her laptop, because it has the speakers there right where you're resting your wrists, and you know what I mean.
Silicon's a very tricky material to talk about when it comes to watches, because the high horology guys are going to say blasphemy, right? Like silicon has no place. I mean, Patek Philippe gets criticized for it all the time, but
as a useful, everyday, livable thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, Patek Philippe also has the best accuracy amongst all the major brands, including Rolex. Rolex -2 +2. Patek Philippe is -1 +2. So,
and that's where I have a little bit of a hard time with certain things. Like, I love the 15202. I love that it's still used the 920 forever. And I have really mixed feelings about the 16202, but you get a modern power reserve and you get an actual quick set date. So those are real quality of life improvements. Same applies to this 222.
Roy, I got to get the JLC movement, man. I need that 15202. I want the 16202 because of exactly what you're describing. But it just for me, it just reminisces the 5402 original JLC movement. The fact that they kept it going for so long is just wild. Super chat.
I love it. Yeah.
Jeremy Kearney, our friend from Ireland, €2.50. Thanks so much. With the VC 222 budget, so let's say, Roy, we're talking 40 grand US and below. Let's say we can buy any watch at 40 grand and below.
Well, specifically at 32, I think they positioned this really well, because you're talking about what is the US retail of the 16202? Isn't that like 37, 38,000 now?
Yeah.
As they dramatically increase the price. And then obviously if they were to release another steel Nautilus, just copy and paste the Cubitus price. So you're at a pretty good discount related to that. And then other things right in its price range, I think you're looking at the new micro rotor 39 millimeter H. Moser Streamliner, or you're looking at getting, for a little bit less money, a 15500. Those still retail under 30, don't they? The 15510 or whatever it is now.
15500s, you're probably in like the low 30s. Like you can get them low mid 30s right now.
I'm just talking retail because it's so hard with the secondary market.
Yeah, 500 is not. It's not current. I think you're thinking 510. I think they're like
the 15510. I correct.
Yeah, I think they're like low 30s as far as I remember.
So it's two different things at that point. It's just, what's your preference? Because this is going to give me one of the things that I love about traditionally an integrated bracelet sports watch is that ultra thin, that, second skin kind of appeal. Like, to me, that's a feature in and of itself.
I'm gonna go with okay. So Jeremy's asking probably a sports watch alternative, right? Because that range he's talking sports watch. So we got overseas as an option, right? You got the overseas that's there. You got the Royal Oak. You mentioned the Moses Streamliner, great choice. That would have been
Overseas is
yeah.
25% less almost.
It's way cheaper.
Yeah.
And
More features. Like
more,
I from a features standpoint, I mean, I get it.
I mean, Jeremy, if we're talking VC, head to head, like for me, overseas, like Roy said, more features in it, cheaper, a larger size if that's what you want.
Yeah.
It's kind of the full package. I really think, Roy, that look, I don't think anybody would have cared. Like you yourself, you came on the show and you're like, I don't give a shit about what's on the back. I look at the front, right? I think that a lot of people would have ignored them staying true to history on the 37 mils and actually going to a 39 mil. I think this would have had so much more fanfare if it was just 2 millimeters bigger.
And well, what's interesting is they had an equivalent to this watch in the catalog 6, 7 years ago, whatever it was. Well, not the steel one, but the gold one in the ultra thin overseas in white gold. And then they took it out of the catalog, and I never understood that. I never understood why that was only in white gold, and then why they discontinued it, and they never did, make that like their version of the jumbo. And then they go this route.
I'm gonna rewind 6, 7 years ago, right? 6, 7 years ago, completely different market, right? Like
I was there. 100%.
Yeah, Royal Oaks. I mean, I bought my Royal Oak in 2016 ish, 2016, 2017. For like 14,000.
Just before they trended up. That's a good time to get in.
14,000 Canadian dollars.
Yeah. I remember 15202s were 18 grand all day long, and Nautilus's 5711s were 20. New gray market. I mean,
yeah, like so I think that's probably why, is because at that time the craze for the steel sports probably wasn't there, and therefore VC. It took them 2 years to release the steel. The second they released the gold 222, everybody was asking them about steel. That didn't exist 6 years ago, I think. So that's probably
correct. But there's a lot of years in between there, and they already did the design. They already did, they had the tooling for the movement, because they've always used their version of the 920, the 1120, throughout their dress watch catalog. So that was all still there. I mean, shit, they could have just brought back the gold one. They would have been able to sell those, but they never did it. It just seemed like an odd decision.
Watch Nicholas. What do you think? You're on mute. What do you think about?
Sorry, I jumped in at a bad time. It's good to see you, Tan, and nice to meet you.
What does that even mean? I jumped in at a bad time. What does that mean?
I don't really know what you guys were talking about, man.
We're talking. Okay.
I have
we're
no
talking.
context. Sorry.
Oh, by the way, Roy, meet Watch Nicholas. Watch Nicholas. Roy.
Hey, Roy.
Nice to meet you.
We're talking about Vacheron. So Roy was just talking about how, and I kind of agree with him. I think Vacheron's just been making some weird decisions. And for you, Nick, I mean, you don't own a Vacheron. Like,
I do not.
How do you see the brand? Like, what interests you about the brand? And to me, I just feel the brand is lost. It doesn't really have an identity, and they're looking for one. Is the way I kind of see it.
Seems like their whole identity is the overseas now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like the overseas a lot, but honestly, my favorite watches for them or from them are really not the overseas pieces. It's some of the like that. What is it? The 1926 Historiques, where it's kind of tilted. That driver's watch, or then like some of these classic ones like that. I think it's like 1941 Traditional calendar. Some of that type stuff, but I mean, their identity, it seems like, is overseas. Maybe they're trying to copy the Royal Oak a bit, because the Royal Oak definitely revitalized AP.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree. They don't know where they're going, and they just keep waffling back and forth. They had that twin beat perpetual calendar that was brilliant, but that was essentially one thing for 1 year, and they're done with that.
Guys, I think it's a treacherous time for the Trinity in this sense, because sports watches it's just so hot, and there's just no market for what these guys are like historically good at, which is complications, dress watches, precious metals, as Roy described earlier, right? Like, it's a very contentious time, and I think Nick is right in the sense that, I mean, look, they added the 222, they've gone in steel, like they're trying to add some depth into the range. It's just, is this? Like, Roy, Nick, do you guys see this? Because this is a question, Nick, I'm going to ask you from Jeremy Kearney here. You got a budget of $40K and below. I mean, you just got a Yachtmaster 42 Oyster Flex. Like, you got $32K, call it US. Like, what are you buying a 222, or are you buying a Royal Oak, or are you buying an overseas? What do you get?
Well, okay, if you're asking me that, like, I don't really love the Royal Oak. I really prefer the Overseas to the Royal Oak. And I know that, I guess what you would be buying would be looking at one of the blues, like any of the blue dials. I don't like the super complicated ones, but I think a lot of the blue dials are basically MSRP now on the gray market. And so we're talking what, like 25, 26, and like if you get the black dial or the silver, those are even under. So you could definitely get that and have money left over. I think myself, I'm too pussy to lose money on a watch. I can't be losing money anymore. So I'm.
By the way, Roy, when I met Watch Nicholas at Watch Time New York, he was walking around with a Chopek Kita Berg on the wrist, and I was shocked. I was like, man, I thought this dude would be walking around with like a fucking Tudor Black Bay. Like he's actually wearing a decent watch. Like,
no. Well, here's the question. So with that Overseas line, and not like, what do you think of the moon phase retrograde that they came out with?
Ooh, Archie loves that watch. Let me see if I can.
I love it too, but I'm a 15. I'm sorry. I love the Nautilus moon phase as well. So
those are really nice.
Wow! Here we go.
That's beautiful. I like how they do the moon phase and like the retrograde.
But what do you think about in the Overseas case?
Here's the thing, Roy. Retrogrades is just not popular. Moser put one out a few months ago on the Pioneer. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, the retrograde seconds. I think that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, I went up to them at the booth at Watch Time New York, and I said, guys, I don't understand. Like, you got this great like lineup in the Streamliner, but you put it in the fucking Pioneer. It just
that's the thing I thought too. Yeah, 100%.
Retrogrades just haven't been popular. Like the only brand I think that does a decent retrograde is Breguet. I think they do a fantastic retrograde on their traditional.
They have some nice ones.
On Vacheron, like Archie tried to buy this watch at one point, Roy, and the amount of like just dissent in the chat was insane. Like so many people were against him buying retro, even though I think this is a lovely watch. I think it's nice. It's just people.
You know who I think does it really poorly, funnily enough, is Paddock on their perpetuals.
Oh, I hate them, man. I hate them. Yeah. It's like I have a Patek perpetual calendar 5320. So it's aperture with a moon phase, at 6, and it just whenever I looked at their retrograde one, I just could never fall in love with it. I always thought it was horrendous looking. I think this is much better. But yeah, like I think you're spot on with that. But yeah, for me, like Vacheron, like the idea, like if you look at their collection, it's just like Overseas. Then you got dress watch, in the Patrimony, dress watch in the Traditional. Historiques is what Nick was talking about. This is
I really like that. I think that watch is so cool. I'm pretty sure
the
they have
1921 is great.
I really like that watch. And you know what? On the gray, I think you can get it like low 20s, like low to mid 20s, like 22.
They've made them in a lot of different metals for a number of years now. So the nicest version. Have you seen the platinum version with the platinum dial?
Blue. Yeah.
No. They did platinum with a gray dial, and then it's got applied indices in platinum too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a few versions of this that are really cool.
Or I should say applied Breguet numerals.
The Everose.
You know what? This is a watch I just don't understand. And Roy, you obviously have just met me, but I'm a big car guy. Like I love cars. And this is kind of the purpose of this watch is to be, as Nick called it, tilted, because it's a driving watch, right? I never understood why people like this, because most people in our community and watch YouTube, Roy, don't like cars. They're not big car guys. They often hate car talk. But they gravitate like nobody's business to this watch. I never understood it, Nick. Can you explain?
I'm not a car guy at all, but I love this watch. Sorry, my dog's going nuts. Love this watch and love the Milli Miglia from Show Part 2, which is definitely a driving watch.
I don't care about the association. It's a cool watch when you see it, and I mean it's beautiful. And that's all it comes down to for me.
Yeah, it's just the interesting talk point when someone asks you like, why'd you buy a watch that like is off center like this, and you're just like, I like it being off center. It's just like a weird thing. Then you kind of have to explain to people, well, it's a driving watch and that's what it's for and all this other bullshit, right? But like you said, people just like it because it's tilted. And a lot of people in the chat, Richard Greenberg saying, watch is beautiful. Polly says lovely piece, and Fragrance Profile is telling us he's team 222. He or she is team 222. Guys, I love the 222 in the gold though. Like for me,
I do also. I'm a big fan of the 222. I really like it. I really do. And Danny was talking about comparing this with the Piaget Polo re-release, whatever it is. Yep. I think the Historiques is the better one out of those two, for sure. They're the 222.
Yeah, I agree. If Piaget had balls, they would have done the rectangular one. I don't know why they did the round.
Yeah, I can't fall in love with the polo, man. It's like a
It's terrible.
Laureato. Laureatos, polos, they're just not for me. And so to answer Jeremy Kearney's super chat from my perspective, Jeremy, like I'd be looking at Royal Oaks at that price point. 15,300 could be had at the low 30s, 15,400. Good options whether you want 39 or 41 mil. And yeah, like I've always had an affinity for the Royal Oak. Yes, it doesn't have as good features as the Overseas. Overseas is a very nice watch and at a very good price point. But for me, if you even think of, like Roy, I've owned a 5711 Blue. I've owned numerous Royal Oaks. I've now, I'm now into Patek Philippe, complications, perpetual calendar, world time, all that jazz. But, when I think of integrated sports watch or even ultra luxury sports watches, I mean, the Royal Oak was the OG. It is the original. 1972, it comes out. It's not until 76 when the Nautilus comes out, or I think 77 for the 222, right? Like,
yeah.
I
think it's also the most fully realized design out of that first class.
Yeah, look, there's.
You get my meaning.
The Patek people are, and I'm a Patek guy, so everyone knows that. But the Patek people talk about, well, Genta's wife always says that, the Nautilus was really the final design of the Royal Oak in that sense, or it's just, I don't believe that. I think that the Royal Oak was.
Hey, a lot of creatives continue to tinker with something when they got it right the first time, and it only gets worse, not better.
Yeah, and it was the famous story in an evening, quick sketch, and I've talked about that story where I think a lot of people don't understand where the Royal Oak actually came from. Like, it wasn't AP that came up with the idea of the Royal Oak. It was actually a distributor. They were a very small manufacturer that primarily made complications and precious metal dress watches. They were looking to expand sales, and so they worked with a distributor, and that distributor actually asked them, well, we want a sports watch. That's when AP goes to Genta and says, hey, you need to design something for us, and we need it tomorrow, kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, I don't think I ever actually answered the question, but with that budget, I would probably go 16202 just because I really love that design overall. When you're sitting there and you roll that bracelet, it looks, absolutely beautiful. But I mean, the 222 is also very appealing to me, especially the idea of you could probably wear that steel 222 to a lot of places and nobody's going to notice.
Oh, absolutely, right. Let's pull up the 222 here again in steel, because I did want to show the taper of the bracelet. We talked about that earlier, Roy. I want you to kind of just look at this.
And I also think they made a good decision with the galvanic blue rather than the the lacquer blue that's on the Overseas. I think the galvanic blue goes much better with this more integrated, because this out of all of them is the one that seems most like just a bracelet. So I think that blends better than if the dial really popped out on it.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, just even looking at this bracelet, it just looks brushed, and it's really where I love the Royal Oak. The Royal Oak is not, even though we talked about movements, a few minutes ago on the Royal Oak, it is really the where the high horology of the art on the Royal Oak is. It's really dial up, and that includes the case, the finishing on the case, the finishing on the bracelet. Like, when I look at this is no Royal Oak. I'll tell you that right now. This is no Royal Oak.
No, it's a design more of its time, in that I associate this design with closer to things that were done in the 80s than the 70s. It's different. I think this is more similar and more in this, along the lines of the Constellation Manhattan. Like, I think it's more closely related to that than it is a Royal Oak Jumbo. It's just different.
I think this is a great wrist shot here, Nick. And now that you're back.
Yeah, sorry, bad connection.
It looks like a small watch on an average size wrist. Do you think this photo would deter people from lusting after this watch?
I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, I do think it will in the modern climate where everybody's trying to wear these bigger, 41 mm and 42, 43.
Some of their press shots showed it on an Asian woman.
Well, I got a dainty wrist, but I have no problem with like 36, 37, 38 Like I'm fine with that classic sizing. I do
Right, this poor guy has been getting trolled incessantly for like 48 hours because he showed a wrist shot of him with a 42 mil Yachtmaster, and everybody is like, dude, that watch is too big for your wrist. So
yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is, depending on how you angle it, obviously the camera is not going to help you with that.
Yeah, it's the camera. I like this guy. I'm with you, Roy. It's totally it's the camera. It's the camera.
Where's the day owner, guys? Like, come on, he's got to show that watch, and it's instant, right? Like, but it's we got Gary here who says Nick might have even worse internet than Archie.
It's hard. Sorry, Gary.
Caliber YQG says, I'm not a fan of the 222. I don't mind small watches, but this just looks odd, especially with the bracelet almost as wide as the watch. Wouldn't take it for half the price. That's a harsh statement, guys. Do you think that a lot of the public's going to see it that way, or do you think that's going to be a minority?
I think if the public gets to see it in person, absolutely. When you need to watch videos of this watch, like watch Tim Masso's review of the gold one, and then watch how that head sits like in that bracelet. It's a bracelet with a watch in it, like much more so than the other two watches it's associated with.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I talked to Tim yesterday, and it was more around overseas versus 222, and Tim was like, overseas all day long. He's like, you're gonna get way more.
He's been shilling the overseas for like 8 years now. He was like on board that the second it came out. So,
and look, we got a lot of overseas
talking about the brown dial one before it was cool.
Yeah, we got a lot of overseas fans here in the chat, including Mike the Snake here, who does hop on the panels with us.
Hey, Mikey, what's up, Mike?
He says Royal Oak bracelets are pretty much at top of the heap in his opinion. Love the overseas, so the overseas is his grail watch, and 222 bracelet 2 are all set. The problem with Mike is Mike's got a massive wrist, so the 222 Mike is out of the question. 37 mils, you're not going to look at it. Mike was fortunate to try on the overseas when I met up with him in San Francisco, and he loved it, man. He thought it was great. But it definitely
he needs like the tourbillon overseas, so it bumps up to 42.
Yeah, I think his heart is really set on the 4500V, the blue dial. He really likes that one, and it's really for him. Bear Clooney watches, big Rolex guy in the chat says, just don't like oyster quartz aesthetics. I mean, Roy, this is what you loved about it. That's 75.
I love the oyster quartz aesthetic. Like, that's what I'm all about.
I love that too.
I love it. Like, I am such a sucker for it, and like I really kick myself because I had a chance to get an oyster quartz like before they kind of shot up before COVID, and you could get a nice one for like $4,500 to $5,500.
You might have kicked yourself eventually though, because I have heard that if you have problems with those movements, none of the parts or anything are made.
That's true. Yeah, it's a big issue to find somebody to work on those things, and it can be pricey because they have to swap them all out and all that. But man, I just love the look on it. I think it looks so cool. I'm a big fan. Yeah. But I really like those 70s type watches.
Now, there's a guy at a jeweler by me. He has a two-tone one, and it is in amazing condition. It's so sharp. It looks like it almost just came out of the box.
Lovely. We were talking about the dial, Roy. You thought this blue was really. I agree with you. I think it's spot on. I think this blue is.
I think it would look weird with the lacquer blue. I don't think it would have worked.
And look, they have. I mean, historically, they came out with a gray dial. I think they had a white dial version. They've had a few different dials.
I was kind of surprised they didn't do the gray dial, but I like the blue.
Yeah, Wake Ho asked one of the execs at VC in his video why they chose the blue dial, and he just said, "Look, like yes, we had a whole group of dials we could have gone with, but they felt that the blue really
Or if they really wanted to do something different, they did do a salmon dial in the original overseas. They could have brought that back and put that in here for something different, and then just muted it a little bit, like not so much pop on it."
I think they kind of the way they looked at it is they said, if we thought of what a 222 in steel looked like, first idea comes to mind is blue dial. Just like, let's say if we discontinue the Royal Oak for 30 years, right? They're not going to bring it back in a silver dial, or a rhodium dial. They're going to bring it back in the blue dial, right? So,
but just like with the Nautilus, that blue today is so much different than the blue, decades ago. They have shifted it to be a more vibrant on, both.
It's evolved for sure.
You know what's interesting is I always felt that the blue on the dial of the Nautilus was dark. It was more grayish.
They gave it like a greenish undertone to it in the late.
Yeah, it didn't radiate in the light. There were certain lights that looked beautiful, but in low light it just kind of looked black. And so when I owned both of them at the same time. I owned the 5711 and the 15300 at the same time, and I just fell in love more with the Royal Oak. There was just it was just
controversial opinion from me. I always liked the white dial more with the black and gold markers and hands.
On the
Nautilus? Contrast.
Yeah, on the Nautilus. Yeah, look, and honestly, there is a contingent of people that love it more than the blue. They feel the blue is overhyped, and it was my first Patek Philippe, and at the time I was not into the brand, and I did what everybody does. I go on the forums, and I'm like, hey guys, which one should I get? And it was at a time. Yeah, it was at a time, guys, where like people would say, never get the Aquanaut. It's the poor man's Nautilus. You don't want that.
I love the Aquanaut.
Yeah.
I like the Aquanaut, but
which is foreign to me because back then you would have been in the minority. Like you would have been looked at as kind of the guy who couldn't spend in a pony.
And the other crazy thing with the Aquanaut is the bracelet one always traded less than the one with the strap, and Patek used to be willing to sell you the straps and the clasp that went with it for, obviously a lot of money, but still a lot less than if you wanted to add the bracelet later.
Oh yeah,
for a time they would even sell you the green one if you had a steel.
I like the green a lot. The green.
Yeah, you used to actually be able to order that green strap if you just had a steel one for a very short window of time before they put the end to that.
Yeah, I think that
I really like the silver Nautilus. Not to cut you off, Tan, my bad. But the white dial, I think that one's really underrated.
Yeah, I agree. And they also did the original release of the annual calendar Nautilus, I believe, was also the white. I think they did that dial first.
Yeah, before they did the blue and the 5726. Yep, you are right. Look, it's never been the white dial and the Nautilus has never been popular.
Yeah, it's under-respected. I think it looks so good though.
Like often, I mean, iconic white dial watches. Like, I mean, always comes to mind is the Rolex Polar Explorer 2. I don't know what it is about white dials. People just don't like white dials that much, and you never really see a lot of fanfare.
Yeah, especially
it's one of those things where it has to be just right. I think it's especially if it's a pure white and not an opaline. It's hard to make it really, come together.
I'm thinking the only really hyped white dial watches. I mean, Panda Daytona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only one that I can think of.
Whereas, blue, I mean, you can Nautilus, Chronomet Blue. There's so many of them, right? Like green, you name any Nautilus in green, you name the Grenade, you name the Hulk, right? Like there's so many of them. But white dials, very interesting how like just white is not as popular. But Roy and Watch Nicholas go against the grain guys here. But that's all good because we got a lively chat. We got almost 90 people in the chat before Archie shows up, and anywhere between 15 and 20 minutes joining us for a couple of hours of watch talk. But yeah, guys, I really think the 222 is it's going to be polarizing. I think for the initial, like, what do you guys think? Like the initial term, obviously there's going to be people gravitating to it, but do you think it's going to have that initial, spike and then just really sink below retail, like the gold has?
Probably, yeah.
Like Roy,
I mean, the question is, what is their production? Because let's say
that's exactly
that's true.
Let's say they were making. I'm just going to throw numbers out there that are not even close to true, but just because it's round numbers and easy. Let's say they're making 100 yellow gold ones. Now, does this mean they make 100 yellow gold and 100 steel, or does this mean they make 80 yellow gold and 20 steel watches? Like, how are they going to break that up? Could have a huge effect on the demand.
Oh, we got DR Artifact in the chat. Nice to see you, man. He says, I will be buying a 222, fellow Canadian.
Nice.
Roy, what I heard in that Waco interview was that it is going to be a limited production. It's not going to be a highly produced watch. Now, I was always skeptical of brands that say that. Omega.
Yeah, I don't put any weight in that just because they're right. They could only make so many of them. But again, the big deal is how you break that up.
Like Omega, right? The 321 Ed White is not a very popular watch right now. I'm on the list at my AD. I'm number one. I've been number one on that list for years. And like the AD is run by friends of mine. So they wouldn't bullshit me about this kind of stuff. And, I just keep asking them, have you guys seen one? And they're like, no. And I went to an AD in Toronto, dear Artifact. I went to Loro in Toronto a few weeks ago. Asked him the same question. Have you guys seen a 321 at all? And the guy's like, no, I've seen multiple Snoopies, but never that. So it could be, Roy, that it's just a very, very limited production piece, and therefore that would definitely spike up,
Yeah. No, it's funny. I don't know when you got on that list, but I remember when the Ed White came out, you could definitely get those easily. My small AD, you know, in my town here, they had one, and I was one of the people they called and asked if I wanted it, but I'm not a Moonwatch guy. So.
Yeah, I think in the precious metal one, maybe people had seen it. It was the steel one that I was looking. I don't know if yours was the steel one, but
No,
in Canada,
steel.
yeah, in Canada, it's very, very hard. We don't get a similar supply that you guys get in the United States, and I know Bear Clooney is also on the list of his AD, and he says it's the same for him regarding the 321. They haven't seen it. Do your artifacts?
Snow Castro just doesn't want you guys to have luxury goods, I guess.
Yeah, 321 is very difficult to get. I've spoken to Laura as well. Essentially boutique only, which is crazy because you can literally buy it on the secondary market for like retail or below now. So it doesn't even make that much sense because
I didn't realize it was under retail because honestly, I love that watch, man. I'm a huge fan of the 321, but I thought it was way over MSRP. I thought it was like the Snoopy.
Nah, they came down. I mean, think about it, the Snoopy came down, right? Like the Snoopy is way more sought after than the 321 is.
Yeah.
You know what watch is still vaporware from Omega is the new Ploprof.
I've not seen
the Ploprofs. I haven't seen that, but I like the old model. Sorry to cut you off, Tim, but yeah. No,
I've never seen anybody with one right now, like modern one.
So I was down in Vegas last spring, and obviously they have big Omega boutiques there, and I talked to them, and they hadn't seen one. I talked to the Omega dealer here, and I mean, they like Omega sets them up with like 200, 300 watches. So they're pretty, you know, well-stocked dealer. They said, you know, they haven't seen one. They did say that one of the Omega reps that came through, he was wearing one though.
Interesting. Yeah, it's some people love it, some people hate it. It's big for people. It's not the best design for others. I don't mind it. I think it's quirky. I like quirky shit.
I'm just glad that they went with a monoblock case and they got it to a wearable size.
Oh, the Canadian comedians are out here, Roy, today. We've got Jimmy, a fellow Canadian, who says the 321 is banned by Trudeau. It's not diverse enough. Man, I just wish
Castro, man.
I just wish they could fucking send us some watches here, man. Like, it's the bane of my existence. Just to hear from AP to be like, yeah, just go to New York. You know, yeah, let's just go fight with like, you know, everybody in the biggest market in the United States for a fucking AP. We're from Canada. Like, can we just have our own fucking AD? Like, come on, man.
No, you know, it's funny. I as much as I like the Royal Oak, I've never asked to, you know, get on the list or anything at AP just because it's one of those things I assume will never happen. And I've spent a ton of time talking to like the people at the Patek boutique and stuff in Vegas, the Vacheron boutique. Man, you go into that AP boutique, it's always full. Always full. Most of the time I go into Patek, I'm the only one there. I go into Vacheron, I'm almost certainly the only one there.
Dear Artifact says the platinum and white gold 321s are easier to get than the steel. Yep, I think I would agree with that. But the price for entry into those precious metal 321s is very high. Yes, I would agree.
Well, they were delusional with the white gold one. 80 grand just because it's in white gold and has an onyx style. I mean,
well, dude, they just released 100 grand like platinum Speedmaster, right? Like, you know, and people are saying like, you know, the price of platinum ain't that high anymore. Like, what are you guys doing? And
yeah,
it's
no. And I will say the 40th anniversary in platinum, like that's an impressive watch. I mean, you really notice that when you have it in your hand.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's like your Artifact is saying, right? It's just it's a high price to pay for what he perceives as it's just an Omega, right? Like,
funny enough, the last time I saw a new one of those was at the Omega boutique in Puerto Rico, and that was in like 2017 or 2018. They still had a new one there.
Okay, cool. We were, you know, on the, you know, the whole topic of 321s and everything else. Like, we were talking about production, and I think that you're spot on in the sense that if I don't see them mass producing this, I've had this debate actually all day, Roy, with other collectors. Some collectors believe like that Vacheron is going to use this as a method to sell overseas, and overseas are going to get pumped. So they're going to keep pumping out overseas. But if you want that 222, you got to buy a bunch of them. And those are the watches people do want from them. So
I don't think how many people are playing this game anymore. You only get to do so many years of that. I mean, how many, you know, different Vacherons do people want to take that, you know, they're going to then take a 50% hit on if they stick them in the secondary market after getting the watch that they finally desired.
Richard Greenberg,
quite frankly, like this whole business model that they're doing, unless they move to just selling to people that are ultra wealthy and just don't care, they're going to kill themselves doing this, because your average, not necessarily average person, but somebody who can spend like 40, 50 grand on a watch, but they're only going to do that one time because they're not a big collector, and then they just get kicked out the door at all these places. You just lost that customer for life. And a lot of these ultra wealthy individuals, like, this is their thing now. Is it going to be their thing in 5, 6 years? I don't know. And they're also very fickle. You say the wrong thing to one of them once, that's it.
Oh, that's a fair point. I honestly don't understand how half of these brands are like people still have jobs at half of these brands, to be honest with you.
And I think Rolex is the one that I think that the way they've been handling things like recently, I think they realize this because they understand they're producing so many watches that they can't be turning away people to say, hey, it's my 10th anniversary. Hey, it's my 30th birthday,
Yeah, I mean, the market has definitely shifted since the COVID time, since money was being printed. And you're right. I think the brands have to kind of take a step back. They have to look at who's coming in. And like Vacheron, you're right. Like, I mean, how many Vacherons are you going to buy? What is out there that really people want? And it is difficult to keep people playing that game with a brand that honestly does not have the same brand power that a Rolex, a Patek, or an AP have. And
Yeah.
it's a tough pill to swallow. And Richard Greenberg's asked me this question. He says, Tan, would you pay the 90K for the Gold 222? And the answer is no. Like, I mean, I like the watch. It's a cool watch, but 90 grand opportunity cost. I mean, there's so many watches I'll buy at 90 grand over that one. And it's just, there's the value proposition and the competition out there, Roy, it's hard to see. And I think that's why this 222 in steel is being so contentious right now. It's just not enough value for customers.
I mean, I get it. I do think it's priced well. I mean, for what it is, I think it's priced reasonably well, because you also have to spread out the development costs, spread out the tooling costs, across the volume of models that you're going to sell. So if they really are going to produce relatively few of these and they're in at 32, I think that's reasonable. Whereas the overseas at 24, where that is, their high volume piece, I think it makes sense.
Timely, hop on, man. I want to hear what you have to say about this 222. Tommy Behavior says, "What's with the rich man's PRX?" That's actually very.
That's part of what I like about it. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and it's also partly why the PRX is popular, right? It is a design that people can appreciate and like. I feel that 37 mils, Roy, it's gonna deter a lot of people, and when a lot of people are deterred, yeah. they'll just the rest of the crowd that probably is in that range of buying it is gonna be like, I'll buy the Royal Oak instead. And I think
the other thing is we're late stage in the business cycle. Who knows how long things will remain propped up for, and overall, we could just see the luxury market evaporate due to just natural economic conditions.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, not only can you get a discount, like, I mean, you can buy those silver dial overseas for like 16K, man. Like, they're cheap. They're like Rolex money. Rolex like low end steel sports-ish or mid range steel sports-ish type money. Like, and you're gonna get an overseas Geneva seal movement. Like, it's crazy. Great value.
When they came out, they were like $14,000 watches on the secondary market for any overseas. Have the silver dials gotten down that low, or are they still?
They're low, man. They were like, I think last time I looked was about 16, and that was recently. The blues are still trading like maybe high teens, low 20s.
Yeah.
So it's just difficult to not see the value in the overseas when you're looking, like you said, you feel it is priced, and I agree with you, right? Like, if you're comparing retail prices, but a Cubitus real price that you're actually going to pay for Cubitus is well over MSRP if you're buying from the AD, because they're just not going to give you one right off the rip.
That's one that I'm curious to see if it stands up, because I mean, anything that sports from Patek in the short term is going to get really pumped. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't handled the watch in person. It's just the whole thing leaves a sour taste in my mouth, just in the respect that they tried to say, oh, we spent like 5 years designing this and blah, blah, blah. If they would have said, yeah, it's a square Nautilus, we wanted to do something that was a little bit bigger, and this is the direction that we went, I'm like, so be it. But, don't try to sell me something with this that just isn't true.
Timely, my man, I need your hot take on the 222, man. What's going on?
There's nothing hot about it. It's a PRX.
PRX, guys, quick and dirty from Timely at PRX. Look, Timely, it's. I think that's what like Roy said. That's what he feels the charm of the watch is what he likes about it, right?
And it's not even the good PRX. It looks like the quartz one.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's slightly better than that. Timely, we'll give it a little bit better than that. I don't know if it's like quartz.
It's no, like as in the quartz dial on the PRX. It's the flat dial. It's not the, what do you call it? The waffle dial look or anything like that.
Mhm.
So that's what this reminds me of as soon as I see it. It's got a little Vacheron thing in the corner. It's got a nice bezel that looks like a mid-tier luxury car air vent. That's it. Like it's
All right,
PRX.
Timely, you're gonna help me here because we're gonna play a little segment here on the show before Archie gets on. We're gonna call it the who is the original OCD? Okay, not the original OC, the original OCD. I'm gonna critique this watch from an OCD perspective, dial wise. Timely and Roy, like, would you keep automatic on this or would you clean this up, remove the date? What would you guys do?
I mean, I don't like dates. I would rather have them not on there. I don't have to set it when I grab the watch. I like as little text as possible. I like Moser's approach.
Timely, would you keep it like it is? How would you clean this dial up?
Well, no date, keep it symmetrical. Automatic, that's fine. It's only one line of text, not 50. So that's actually okay.
It might add some balance.
It's when there's
the bottom having
3 or 4 lines of
too.
It's when there's 3 or 4 lines of text that it starts to get a bit, ugly. But the 2 lines at the top, 1 line at the bottom keeps it looking good. Just the date, to be honest.
I think I'm with Roy on the date. I think if you remove the date off this watch, we really need ID guy here. He's kind of the expert, but I'd remove the date.
I kind of like that comment about the 1 line of text at the bottom. Now that I think about it, it might help balance the dial out a little bit. Maybe it needs to be there.
Otherwise, it's just too much real estate. The hands are awful.
But that's one of the things that I loved about the ultra thin overseas was no date on that one.
I'm just getting date just vibes from these hands, gangster. That's what I'm getting. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm
like
just thinking what hands that would replace it.
Plastic, like the plastic glass date just, like 1601 vibes. Roy, would
change the hands. You got to change the markers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you change the hands of the markers, what would you guys go with?
I mean, I've always been a fan of pyramid markers and then Dauphine hands. I like that combination. I don't know if it would work with this.
I was thinking the same. I'm a little more confident that it would work. So he's talking about the, what you see on a basic Calatrava, Dauphine hands with polished, the polished indices. I think, I'm going to go be a little bit more confident with this one, Roy. I'm going to go with that as well. Because I think it would work. But again, no date.
It's looking a lot like a first gen overseas.
Yeah, I know. And that's not a very popular one around here. So, Timely, what do you think?
The Dauphine hands would actually go that well with it, to be honest.
You know what? I know Roy said the same thing, but I'm going to be a little bold here. I'm going to be a little Thierry Stern here with you guys. I'm going to just say let's fuck it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It could be interesting.
It's funny though. We're trying to piece together a better Vacheron in 5 minutes.
Here's the question. If you add the pyramid markers, if you add the Dauphine hands, you have all that brushed on the bracelet. You do have that sparkle coming from the dial. You have to change a little bit of that bracelet finish, like give it a little polish along the edges so that it pops like a streamliner bracelet when you roll it.
Would you keep the center links or the center like brushed, or would you do a?
I'm just saying on the bevels, on the edges, because the streamliner bracelet is mostly, it's all brushed. It's just that bevel,
Yeah, Bear, I said this. I said it's 1601, like plastic Rolex date just hands. Like, that's exactly what it is. That's why Gary was like, those hands need to go. Like, but we're struggling, guys. Help us in the chat as well. Like, Roy started it with a Dauphine hands, and I agreed with him, and now Timely says we're both fucking stupid, and it would look dumb. So tell us in the chat what you guys think.
It wouldn't go with this because this is a sports watch, and Dauphine hands are more for a dressy piece, right? So it's like throwing big, 20-inch chrome rims on a fucking Rolls Royce, like an old school Rolls Royce or something, won't fit. Jimmy's comment, he goes, Timely, to compare this to the PRX is just wrong. The movement, the finishing, come on. I get it. But when you look at it, the aesthetics of it, I'm not talking about the movement. great. The movement's fancy pants movement, but you don't see that from the front. You look at it, and this just says to me, PRX.
You got to admit that that's a plus if you're walking through an airport somewhere or you're in a city center and you look down and you know what it is, and then it makes you smile, but you don't necessarily have to worry about attracting attention in a place where you're not confident of your surroundings.
Nice to see OP Jeff. He says, why no second hands? That would drive me crazy. But then Tap comes back with second hands are for the working class, and therefore Vacheron is not needed on the 222. Would you guys prefer a seconds hand on this, or is it just clean this way?
No seconds hand.
It doesn't bother me, to be honest. It's fine.
Yeah, I think that I don't think it needs it. I think it's very clean this way. I think it's, yeah, I think it just works without the seconds hand. Again, I do agree with everybody that the hands indices need to get changed. I'm not a big fan of this automatic. I know you guys are like, hey, it gives a bit of, not a lot of nothingness down here, but I personally, I'd get rid of that, get rid of the date, clean it up.
To be clear, I like the hands and indices. I was just saying, if you change the indices because the hands match the indices, you got to change the hands. So.
All right, the chat is telling us that this watch needs a seconds hand. I mean, seconds hands are popular with everybody, so I get it.
But why does it?
People like it, man. Like even Archie with my perpetual calendar, like it's one of those weird perpetual calendars that has a seconds hand, and Archie just loves it. He's like, I need the seconds hand. I'm like, really? It's a fucking perpetual calendar. It's not really
the only thing I can think is, watch collectors are OCD, so maybe everybody thinks their watch is stopped.
I can fix this for everyone then, right? Because this is the way everyone's comments are leaning towards. Put a second hand on it. That's fine. Leave the date window, and then underneath automatic, put Powermatic 80, and that should fix the whole watch.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, Jeff, because I thought I was kind of one of the only ones in the world that actually cared about the seconds hand, for accuracy or whatever. And so OP Jeff says, and I'm taking it this way, OP Jeff, so maybe I got this wrong on what you mean, but I enjoy the seconds hands because I love seeing how dialed in the movement is. Mr. GMT, nice to see in the chat, who says a second hand brings the watch alive.
No, I think, people want to have something moving on the dial. I think that's clear. Just like, and there's certain subset of collectors that say, okay, I'd prefer not to have the date. But if you look at the volume of watch sales, clearly that's a minority opinion.
I think for a handset too, I've been thinking about it. Something like, the pencil hands on the Omegas or something like that, where it's a thicker hand and then at the end it points off.
Yep.
Something possibly like that rather than dolphin hands or whatever, because this is leaning more towards a sports watch, not a dress watch, right? Being stainless, being in this configuration, this is a sports watch look.
It's interesting because I could even see this as a dress watch too. It doesn't have to be a sports watch. Like, yeah, it's on a bracelet, but this watch is also quite small, quite elegant. Like I think it could also fit that kind of, because like Bear said, I just noticed it's like it's got Datejust hands. The Datejust itself was a quote unquote sports watch, but is primarily looked at as a dress watch today.
I consider my Day-Date a sports watch.
Yeah, so some people do, right? Some people do consider it a sports watch. Archie himself, I think, considers those lineups, at least at one point when he was doing his YouTube stuff, was saying that the Datejust and subsequently the Day-Date were originally sports watches. But it's like convincing people today, Roy, that the Reverso was a sports watch. Like,
well, we also muddy the term sports watch by including tool watches. Like a Submariner is not a sports watch; it's a tool watch. So the whole concept gets confused. Like I consider a sports watch to be something that's on a bracelet that can be worn every day, looks good in shorts, in a t-shirt. That's where I think a sports watch actually lies, is it walks that line.
Also, the other thing that would make this not look like a Tissot, which would have been a better idea probably, is the bracelet. So we've seen VCs do bracelets where they have their logo, their branding, built into it. If they did something similar to that, that would have looked a lot better.
That's a big qualm from a lot of people, right? The Maltese Cross is some people feel on the overseas is just overused. It's in the bracelet, it's all over the watch. You know what I mean? Like people think it's just overdone on the Maltese Cross. You see it here you see it obviously on the logo, the applied logo here on the dial, but also here on the on the case as well. Like, but it's not as prominent with a Maltese cross. But that overseas is Maltese cross everywhere, like everywhere.
I
Yeah,
like
but
it in the bracelet, and I like it on the bezel. I do like the Gen 2 case and better than the Gen 3. I don't think it needed the plinth for the Gen 3.
The Gen 2 is actually Archie's favorite. He loves the Gen 2. Everybody trolls him for it because he loves the most obscure stuff. And we
I
all
like
come
the
here.
dial on the Gen 3 more, but I like the case on the Gen 2.
We got 103 viewers, guys, even right before Archie hops on. And the 103, over 100, we usually get about 160, 170 viewers every night on the show. They're all here to just see Archie like buy obscure weird stuff, and we're here to troll him half the time, or half the time he'll ask like decent guys like Roy, hey, what do you think of my collection? And maybe first couple times Roy's on the panel, he'll be a little nice, but he'll come
oh,
soon to learn. We all love trolling Archie on his obscure.
and by the way, while we've got Bear here, Bear, you were right about the Omega releases as well. 43 mil cases. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was hoping we could talk about that with Archie on the new meteorite dial GMTs that got released today, and nice to see CB in the chat as well. Old timey, why is that Phillips screw on the case? Bottom right. Just kidding. Ouch, 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 ouch.
You know what design on this watch actually does bother me is I think the rotor is ugly. I don't know. I know what they wanted to put the old logo on it, but I don't know.
You think it's tacky?
I don't
that
like
was the
it.
first thing that came to my mind was it's tacky.
Flip it over.
Yeah, it's tacky. Look at this.
Yeah, it's ugly as shit, man. Come on, this is a PRX.
Well, and
come on,
yeah, if
Jimmy.
they would have done a skeletonized rotor, you could have seen more of the movement. I would have gone in that direction.
At least Tissot did some fancy laser etching on their rotor. Come on, Jimmy.
Nah, I mean Roy's right. Like a lot of the brands are going to skeletonized rotors. I mean AP skeletonized rotor. Like it is. You want to see
tacky.
that?
10, 2, 2, 2. Come on.
I think it was
tacky as fuck.
I think it's tacky. I think that the shape of the bezel, that on the rotor is nice. I think that's a cool touch. The 222 is just it's just tacky. I don't like it.
So here's one.
It looks better from behind too.
If Vacheron was looking to drive sales rather than this in steel, what about taking the peripheral rotor movement and then making an ultra thin overseas in steel again? Just don't give it the tourbillon. It's be 42 millimeter because of the size of that movement, and it would be something like 8 millimeters thick.
Yeah, because of the peripheral rotor. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I prefer the bracelet from behind too. Look at it.
Yeah, it's not a bad looking watch, Timely. It's just
it's not a bad looking watch. They just cloned the fucking $1,000 watch. That's all.
It just falls short, I think. And there's a lot of areas that you could look at here. Like I don't know, but my only issue with what you said, Roy, was the thinness of it. Like,
yeah,
I think with sports watches, at least when you're buying what you perceive as a sports watch, because that's a lot of the market perceives these are. They want some substance on it. They don't want it to be
I agree with you 100%. Most of the market looks at it that way. My preference is the opposite.
It's just sometimes thin watches just bother me. Like I own a 5196 Calatrava, very very thin watch, thin like a sliver of gold, and I'm always worried about denting the watch because it just feels delicate. And it's not really. I don't think that's really I would not find it satisfying from a sports watch. I would say, and I think it's really what's held a lot of people back from arguably what I think is a very nice 37 mil watch. Sports watch is the Tudor Black Bay 54. To me, Roy, I mean, I used to collect vintage Rolex. I had a 1680 Red Sub and many others, and for me, it was the one modern watch that I've worn, and many modern watches try to be like vintage, but this actually felt like a vintage watch. But you had a modern watch. Like it was such a cool feeling, and it's just so hard to get people to like that watch because of the size. Like people just.
Do you know how to run a poll?
Yeah.
The punters are begging for a man cubitus or 222.
All right, then you guys are gonna have to talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes here while I get into Archie's other modules.
Is the poll which one do you hate more, Cubitus or 222?
Is it which one do you want to hate? Which one would you take? Which one would you take, or is it which one do you hate?
No, which one do you hate more?
Ooh,
okay.
Shit.
All right,
okay.
all right. I'll pull for Roy. We're gonna pull up which one do you hate more, 222 or Cubitus? You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll let you guys know when the poll's up.
I do like the new complication though that they launched with the Cubitus.
Yeah. What about this thing here I'm looking at the moment? The rotor's pretty average, to be honest. Like, I get it. It's VC. It's got to have nice finishing. It's great, fantastic. Having triple
They have
cylinder
a
rotor is
habit of
spectacular.
doing rotors like this where they just block off the whole movement. Unless you're talking about a much more expensive watch, for whatever reason, they don't like skeletonizing the rotors like AP or something.
Yeah, if you have something that's like a box standard ETA or something like that, and you want to hide the movement because there's not a lot of finishing, I get it. But when you have something like this, where it should
Yeah.
be finished, for the money you're spending to a high level, which this probably is, you want to show it off. Micro rotor would have
Right.
gone really well with this.
No, look at a lot of times when they're using the 1120 that has a full rotor like this most of the time. And
Yeah,
I think it's a shame.
a micro rotor or one of those rotors that go around the outside of like the edge of the watch.
Yeah, the
where you're
peripheral, like
playing.
in their tourbillon overseas.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it's not. It wouldn't be overly a lot for VC to do something like that for this particular.
I don't think they have a micro rotor in the catalog. I could be wrong, but I don't think they make one.
Well, maybe they should invest in one if they don't, because it's a bit of a shame. Like,
Well, the
you
thing
have
that I
a
don't get is they invested in the peripheral rotor, then they don't use that much. Like, I don't get that.
well, the watch itself, if you look at it from front on,
Yeah.
again, like I'm not going to make the Tissot joke again, but the case itself, it's very striking, angular. It's all about aesthetics, pleasingly look at me kind of thing. And then you turn it over to the case back, and all you're seeing is a bloody rotor. Like, if you're going to continue with that theme, have a
Mhm.
beautifully dressed movement and show it off. Don't obscure it.
Mikey, the Cubitist is getting hammered in this poll. We've got 17 votes, and it's getting closer, Mikey, but the 222 seems to be winning and the least hated amongst these two.
Wow, I'm surprised because the
And
Cubitist is bigger, isn't it?
well, I'm not really surprised, because the aesthetics of the watch are quite pleasing, right? It's a good looking shape, and it's that Gerald Genta kind of feel look that everyone kind of wants. So
You, you,
I'm not surprised that the Vacheron's winning out of these two, because the Cubitus is an ugly fucking duckling.
Yeah.
It's just more of a which price point do you want the most if you were given one, I guess. Like,
Jimmy, you want to know what's funny about this is I have access to like the Elite Horology channel, which is Higgins's channel, and often when I want to do that and troll vote, I go into his account and I start voting, and he gets pissed off because sometimes he's around and he wants to vote, so try to use the account, but I've already voted with it. So there you go. But
you should not be voting for me.
That is true. That is true, Mr. Higgins. 28 votes, 68% saying Paddock Cubist. We're going to come back to that. Mike the Snake on the panel. You've been listening to the show, Mikey. I'm going to pull up this Vacheron for us. Mike, it's a small watch, 37 mils. I don't think this is in your ball, in the range for you.
Yeah, no, I've been listening and watching, and what I have to do, like for discussion's sake, is take my big wrists out of the equation, okay, and look at the watch just as it is, and as it is, I like it. It reminds me a lot of the AP, where the integrated bracelet just seamlessly transitions from the case into the bracelet. There's no cutoff at the end of the lugs, and then the bracelet begins. It's just a straight line. And I like the taper of the bracelet. And I'm a bracelet guy. So, like all of the bracelets that stand out are, in my favorites list, like the overseas, like the AP Royal Oak bracelet, which is, probably one of the top nicest looking bracelets. And this bracelet and the Moser bracelet I love as well. I'm just a bracelet guy. And I also, in discussion, I agree when somebody says I'm a collector, it's almost like people argue that California should be split between Northern and Southern California because they should be two different states because they're such different places. And you say you're a collector, and Patan brought this up earlier. It's like, are you a sports watch collector or are you a watch collector? Or are you a dress watch collector?
I think one of the things that makes this look a bit funny to me as well is with the bracelet, the links. If you look at the center links, they're rounded off a bit, whereas everything else is very straight, angular, very in your face. If they did that a bit more, less round, more angles to keep with the theme of it, I reckon it'd look better.
What do they do with the bezel then? Because they have the round scalps on that.
Yeah, well, this bezel looks like the version 1 overseas bezel a little bit, or like a jumbo bezel. It's not as prominent as the version 3, which only has 6 Maltese cross points, on it.
Mike, do you feel it's overdone on the overseas? Because I hear that complaint all the time.
No, not at all. I like that they just ran with the whole Maltese cross thing, and even into the buckle, and
it's everywhere, man. Like it's all over that watch.
Yeah, and hey, man, if you're gonna go with a theme, fucking run with it. Don't half-ass it, right? In my opinion.
Big question for you, Mike, is you're a huge fan. You said your Grail watch is the Blue Dial Vacheron Overseas Gen 3. Same money or similar money Roy and I were talking about earlier. Even the Vacheron's much cheaper. The Overseas is much cheaper than this 222. Your money, $32,000 US, Mikey. What are you taking, 222 or Overseas Blue Dial?
Oh, Overseas Blue Dial. In a heartbeat.
Now, why do you feel, again, size aside, right? Just, I'm going to zoom out of the watch. I zoomed in a bit here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Full package watch here. What speaks to you more about the Overseas in this one?
Well, I like the lacquer dial, first of all. And I like the bezel shape better. This has this bezel tapers off and down and like making it kind of more of a roundish profile, like from the side, whereas the Overseas bezel is more squared off, forming the Maltese cross pieces. And the bracelet, they're both outstanding. But I haven't seen. I'd like to see the bracelet on this, but I also have to agree with you. The 222 rotors kind of bland,
tacky.
And when you were talking about what was that type of rotor?
Peripheral rotor.
Peripheral rotor. Is that where the gears are on the outside ring of the? I've seen rotors.
Yeah, it doesn't go to. It doesn't have anything that goes in the middle. It just goes right around the outside, and then it's geared on the outside. Correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's a peripheral rotor. I think that's a pretty cool trick. It's pretty neat to see that.
Look, to be honest, they could have just squeezed a micro rotor in with a bit of design work on it, with a Vacheron logo on it in the corner, and it would have been just as fine.
Yeah, they would have exposed a lot more of the movement, which is you can see they've done a lot to it, and it's very beautiful. And then they went and covered up 3/4 of it with the rotor.
I'm just pretty sure Vacheron doesn't make a micro rotor, and then the peripheral rotor is bigger than this watch.
No time like the present to start designing one, eh? So anyway,
Paddock.
That's it for me. Said my piece. I think
Timely, Archie just messaged me. He's coming on soon. So if you want to stick around or hop back on later, I know he'll love to.
I might try and hop back on later because I got some shit to do. But I'll keep watching while I'm doing what I'm doing. But
Timely, it's good to talk. Good to see you and talk to you and say hi.
Oh man,
good to see you guys too. Catch you later.
See you, Timely. It's always good to have timely behavior on the show.
Timely rocks.
Mikey,
I miss him on the show.
Yeah, no, look, hey, Timely's been hopping on. He's been helping out the show, either on the morning show with Lux. Roy, I don't know if you may not be awake that early. I think you're.
I'm not.
Yeah, like for you guys, because I think Roy is also, I think, on the West Coast with you, Mikey. So
yeah, I'm Pacific time. Actually, yeah. So I didn't realize the show started this early. For some reason, I was thinking it started.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. This is a TAN special early.
I was gonna say because usually I'm just going to get my kids from school when this is coming on, so I actually have to leave in a few minutes here, and then I'm generally available, to hop on after that. I didn't realize, that was possible. So it's always entertaining because especially in the area that I live, there's nobody to talk to watch.
Roy,
watches about at all.
Yeah, Roy, like we this is a hangout, right? Like you can hop on. We post the link. Everybody's welcome. Archie's going to be on for like another 2-3 hours anyways. So, go do your thing with your kids and hop back on whenever you can.
Yeah. I'm usually late because I'm having to care for my mother and stuff, and I try to get it done so that I have, an ample amount of time to devote to Archie's show. But my car got eaten by rats. They made.
And he's not just saying any car, Roy. He's talking about a fucking Porsche 930.
No, not that car. My little Nissan Cube.
Well, Jimmy in the chat said
You'd
they're
be surprised how many times I've heard of that happening. They like those wires.
Mikey,
they do.
Jimmy in the chat literally told everybody that the 930 has like a rat's nest in it. That's not true.
No, it doesn't.
Jesus.
No, not at all. In fact, I go to great lengths to make sure that doesn't happen.
I was wondering, I'm like, how Mikey, the fucking Porsche Turbo, you letting rats in there? Come on, man! Like,
no, the Porsche Turbo's inside in the garage. The little shitty Nissan Cube is parked outside, and that's why. You park a hot car outside in the evening, and they all run up in there to stay warm.
I've seen your Cube. I met you when you had your Cube, right?
Yeah. It's a neat little car. It's a great little car. But now it's going to cost me, or either buy a new car or $4,000, unless this other shop can fix it for.
That's the problem with chasing that kind of wiring issue. Is it's almost not worth the value of the car.
Here's the thing. I towed it to the dealership, and I said, can I leave it here for a day or two? And they were like, yeah, no problem. And as I was leaving, I told both the owner and the salesman, I said, I authorize no work to be done to this car. Don't touch this fucking car. But is it okay if I leave it here for a day or so? They're like, yeah, no problem. Then I go move it to another shop, and they hand me a bill for $219 for all this diagnostic work, and they give me a quote for $4,000 with a detailed listing of the rat's nests they found, the broken wires, all the thrown codes. They basically tipped their hand because they shouldn't touch that car at all. They had no authorization to touch that car.
No, I can go through stories of shady things that dealers and whatnot have done to like friends or my wife, and yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so
just wait, Roy. Thanks for jumping on. You had a good credibility. Can you block your ears for a sec? You're new. You're respectable. Block your ears for a sec. Listen, you might be stupid fuck. You got a problem with rats, you get a few fucking cats in the fucking car. Stick your hunting cat in the fucking car. That will solve your rat problem. Stick a cat in the fucking bonnet, you stupid fuck. I can unblock your ears, Roy. No. That's how you can. Yes. Yeah. Cure your rat problem. Or about rat traps in the fucking
I got to go
car.
get my kids, so I might be back on later.
All right, see you, Roy. Take care, man.
Roy, I don't think I've met you
guys.
Thanks for hopping on, Roy.
Thank you, Roy. What about rat traps? Rat poison?
Oh, dude, I'm going to war. Believe me, I'm going to war.
No, you lost the fucking war, Mike.
Oh, I did on the outside the house.
No, you rat. Hey, look, if anything with rat poison, you might fucking eat it. You might think, oh, that's a fucking cheese. Let me eat that. Mike, where's your hunting cat? Where's your fucking hunting cat?
My hunting cat is like probably.
I guarantee you put a few cats in the fucking car, in the bonnet, in the hood. No rats.
Mike, are you not worried? Well, I think you should be more worried about a mechanics lien. So you're saying because you're not going to pay these guys and they've done all this work, right? They could put a mechanics lien on your Cube, right?
Stick the rat in the fucking sauce. Hey, stick a can in the fucking sauce pipe. Look. You're not thinking, hey, outside the box, outside the cube, Mike. What the fuck? Did I scare off Roy?
First of all, they don't have the car.
Nah, Roy had to go.
I took the car off their lot, so I don't think they can put a lien on it without having it in their.
Yeah, Mike, I just don't get it. I'm thinking here. When did you realize you had a rat problem?
What?
When did you realize you had a rat?
I live in a walnut orchard, dude. It's like there's it's not a rat problem. It's just you have to like coexist.
Let me tell you something. I'll tell you what I did, right? I had a mouse problem, right? I got rat traps, poison, didn't fix it, right? They were smart with the fucking traps. I put cheese in there. They were fucking smart. They took the cheese, they didn't trap them. So I go, fuck this. I bought I got big rats. I'll tell you how. Hey, Mike, shut the fuck up. I'll tell you how I solved it. You can't give me advice about rats. I solved it. I bought these super glue. It's got super glue on the cardboard. I put them all over the place. I trapped the fuckers. As soon as they went on, it's illegal in Australia to fucking buy that. I bought lots of it. I fixed my problem within 3 days. I probably caught about 30 of them.
Yeah, well, I don't have that problem inside my garage or inside the house. It's outside where I park my.
You weren't proactive. How can you let the rat? How can you let rats? How can you let? No, wait, Mike. How can you let rats defeat you? What the fuck? Where's your hunting cat?
Listen.
I'm not buying this crap. You're full of excuses.
In my cube that I park outside, if you pop the hood, inside there is glued in the engine compartment rat poison, hot glue gunned to certain parts of the inside of the engine bay where I found nuts and walnuts, shells and stuff.
But don't you know when it heats up, when rat poison heats up, it's not poison anymore? Did you know that?
No, I also zip tied a lot of little wadded up paper towels and sprayed them with this rat. No,
Mike, I don't think you understand. Under heat, it loses its effect. Do you understand? You don't understand. Under enormous heat, rat poison doesn't work. All this crap doesn't work.
Well,
no, that's where you stick. That's where you stick a cat with a nice vest on, some water, stick it in there, it's gonna grab all the fucking rats.
Okay, man. All right, I'm going
with the classic Porsche. What the fuck's going on here?
I'm going to the cat store tomorrow. Okay, I'll go to the cat store and I'll just say I need a rat cat, and I'll buy a rat cat.
I mean, he's not entirely wrong, Mike. Like, if you do live in an area like with amongst a lot of rats, you said you had this problem before. Having a cat.
You bought washing me here, Tanner. You bought washing me. Did you get a haircut, Tan?
No, I didn't get a haircut, actually.
I heard Curly got a haircut.
Did you get a haircut? Yeah, I didn't see the show, but I heard about it.
No, don't cut the crap out. Of course you watch the show, you hear about it. Don't give me this OC crap.
I watched
I watched
a minute.
You watched it,
5 minutes of it, yeah.
Yeah, of course you watched it. Right. So we showed Curly with his fucking hair. Next day, he didn't go to the barber. The barber came to him, but he doesn't leave the fucking house. Turns his camera on. He had his hair done, his skin done, he moisturized, exfoliated.
Ooh, he's got a I heard he got a pretty nice mic as well. Like Curly spent the 10 grand to.
He looked good.
Basil says Curly looked great, so shout out to Curly.
And you know what the funny thing is? No one jumped on the panel. He's on the island.
Look, Watch Nicholas had a fucking banging panel yesterday.
We had 4 panels. Mike jumped on, and we made over. How much money did we make for you, Mike?
Oh, like more than I.
$220. Nick.
Yeah, it was amazing. That got out of control.
It's a show of appreciation for Mike the Snake and what he's done for the Archieverse.
That was awesome.
Nick organised for people to super chat. He got over $220 and he paid the Google tax. He showed a receipt as a show of appreciation for Mike the Snake. Now, part of this we did to help Mike. Part of it's to spite fucking Archie and show him up.
Well,
because he doesn't receive anything here, Tan. What the fuck's going on?
Nark, you're 10 minutes too early with this. We gotta wait till Archie chops off.
No, I'm banned.
I don't want this to happen on Archie's
It's okay,
show.
Mike. No one's gonna. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it. We're just having a bit of fun.
Archie said, when he did agree to pay me, he kind of said it kind of in an offhand way.
Mike, the way I see it is he should pay you. You do a good job for the show. You bring.
You were shamed in paying you, Mike. That doesn't count.
Well,
Pavel
but
donated
you know what he
$100.
said? He goes, "Okay, but this is going to change everything, Mike." And when
He's
he said
fucking
that,
mind fucking you, Mike. He's mind
yeah,
fucking you. No, Mike. Mike, it's like having a fuck buddy, right? You have a fuck buddy, right? Then she wants to get serious. He's fucking you. He's fucking around with you. He's
what I don't want is for things to change the way I am on Archie's show, and I don't want to
You're
be
a fucking
beholden
doormat,
to
Mike.
him. And so I told him, "Fuck it, I don't want to be paid. I just want
He
things
mind
to stay the
fucked you. He
same."
mind fucked you, right? This is a guy that's fucking gynecologist
Well,
put
so
cream
fine.
on his fucking cock.
I
Did you
don't
see
mind.
it?
I don't
Did you
mind.
see
I'm
our
happy.
business
I'm
today?
happy to
You're
jump on and just support Archie. Okay, that's
No,
my
when
main.
you come to watch Nicholas, you get money. A show of appreciation. You made $200 in 15 minutes. You spent countless hours of fucking Archie for a fucking pizza.
He's on the phone. He's on the phone.
Here we go.
He's on the phone, Narc. 10 minutes too early. We gotta wait for Archie to come on to piss.
No, I'm boycotting Archie. This doesn't count.
Look, that's why I said you were blaming me. I'm like, he booted you off. I didn't boot you. I let you on today.
No, you're collateral damage.
Yeah, you're like, fuck you, Dad. I'm like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what can you Pavel, it always happens.
You're collateral damage. This is a freebie here.
I think Pavel was collateral damage. This poor guy gets fucking banned on curly.
He donated $100 to Mike.
Did he?
I think it was
Shout out to Pavel, man. That's good.
Patrick and Nick paid the Google tax. Pavel, $100 for fucking Mike the Snake. And what does fucking Arch do, the fat fuck? He mind fucks him. Oh, our working relationship will change. If you get paid, you'll be an employee. What the fuck? And Mike bought that shit. Damn, seriously, you should talk to fucking Arch. Was Mike the Snake is the glue that keeps this Archieverse together.
I would agree with that 100% actually, and I do think he should pay Mike. But yeah, it's on Mike, right? If Mike wants to really do the job that Archie wants, which is probably the dungeon, you know, it's a tough gig, Narc. It's a tough gig doing that full time.
Yeah, I don't want to run a dungeon show, and I like the position I'm in at Archie's show.
Wait, what position are you in? Do you get paid? You came and watched Nicholas. How much did you make in 15 minutes? $220.
Yeah, but that was just like you said, it was done for a number of reasons, not 100% really part of it was in appreciation for me, but the other
no, Mike. Let's be honest.
Motives. There were other motives.
Mike. That's a shtick, you stupid fuck. It was 100% sincere. I was doing a shtick, and you bought it. We did it as a show of appreciation.
Oh no, and I realize that, and I thank everybody from the bottom
Mike,
of my heart.
Mike, I'm just going to say something to you, Mike. So when I met Mike in San Francisco, we were at the Chinese restaurant, right? Me and Toyota Mo pulled out like a bunch of like just stuff, like whether it was Hot Wheels cars or hats, and we pulled out a pen. And we said, Mike, could you sign this? And Mike, you were so blown away by that. You were like, I can't believe people would actually ask me to sign stuff. Like the community, like you're one of the fan favorites here in the community. Of course, they would do this for you, Mike. Like. I'm a little shocked that you would feel
100% sincere. I was doing a shtick about Spike with Archie, right?
Yeah,
100% sincere.
Yeah, no, I mean I was that.
No. Did Archie tell you that? Did Archie contact you and say it was out of spite?
No, he didn't. He didn't contact me for anything. But in reference,
why are you so cynical? No, Mike, I'm offended here. Why are you so cynical here?
Well, I'm not cynical. What are you talking about?
No, you said we did it out of spite. Despite Archie, I'm offended.
No, I didn't. I said
you just said it. Did you say it?
No, I said you guys. You just said that half the people donated to spite.
No, it was a shtick. It was a shtick.
Okay,
I can retract that shtick.
Okay. You said it. I didn't.
You agreed with it. You could have pushed back. Why didn't you push back?
I don't know. Listen, I was just on the show just to say hi, and then all that started going on, and it just was a big whirlwind, and it kind of got out of control. And then I had to just say, look, stop. I'm not accepting any more money. Anything else goes to Nick, because this was Nick's show, and it's not
but he's the one that messaged me. He's the one that messaged me and says, look, we should get together some money for Mike.
Yeah.
What's my idea?
It's fine. It got to the right level.
Mike, like understand. Let's understand the timeline, right? Like you and I were talking about cars over text, and I was like, hey, we're hanging out on Watch Knicks. Why don't you come by? Right? You had this wasn't planned at all. You literally were just like, yeah, sure, fuck, I'm free. Why not? Right? Hopped on, and then Nick was like, shit. He was like, you see him in the chat. He's a big fan. He was like, fuck, I want to do something really nice for Mike, for helping me out and coming on the show, right? So like huge amount of appreciation for you last night, like Narc was saying.
Yeah, no, I was highly humbled by that, and as well as
Doesn't sound like it.
signing all those things. Like when I met up with Tan, I was just like, wow, I mean, I come on because I love to support Archie, and I love the show, and I love the people. I got friends, like in all of you, and so that's why I do it. And when payment from Archie kind of came about, and he mentioned like, oh, this is going to change everything, it kind of like the wheels started rolling in my head, and I was like, okay, I don't want that to happen. And so I said, Archie, nope, stop it. I don't want pay. I want things to stay the same. Don't pay me anything. I'll take a pizza here and there, and we'll just keep things the way they are. And that's where I left.
He bought a $3,000 pen. He bought a $3,000 pen to doodle. What the fuck, Mike? Don't be a doormat. We made 200.
Hey, wait up a minute there. Let me tell you something. You know what? Can I share a secret with you? I actually got that as a gift.
Put cream on your cock. Yes, cream on your cock.
I got that from a gift, okay? I got that gift. I got a gift. Let's just mute him for a minute there. I got that from a gift from a Mrs. Lai. Let me bring up the picture here. It's been revealed. Here is Mrs.
No, we're not
Lai.
buying this crap. We did this yesterday. You did this yesterday. She won
There
with
we
the
go.
tits.
There we go. Yeah, why not, Narc? Why
It's
not?
been
Why
$3
can't I love a 75-year-old woman? Why not, Narc? Why can't I get that?
But you know why? Because that's Tommy's demographics. Don't cock blocking. You get off with the 50-year-olds. Leave the 70-year-olds for fucking Tom, you stupid fuck.
So she
You and your
bought
cock
that as a
cream.
gift to me, okay? She bought that as a gift. She got it as a gift. She said, what do you want? She said, I love you so much. I want to buy you something expensive. And I said, you know what? There is a
You start paying Mark the
fountain
Snake.
pen I'd like.
Look, looks like a fucking dildo. You start paying Mark the Snake. Don't get cheap, fuck.
You know, I got this. Things have been very tough thanks to you, Narc. Business has been down. You walked off. You fucked me up the ass, Narc.
You backstage me.
You fucked me up the ass.
Was you backstage me?
You
The
fucked
Narc
me
doesn't
up
like
the
being
ass.
backstage.
You stabbed me in the back. You went and worked for Curly.
Yes.
They walked off with my business.
Oh, he
I
went
don't
work-
have a business anymore,
He went
Narc.
and worked for Curly? What? Is that the narrative today?
I don't have a business anymore thanks to Narc.
All right, well, we
never had one before.
Hold on. We have a business here, Archie. You got some super chats. Why don't you get through those
By the way,
before you
Brege
attack
sent
Narc?
me a gift in the mail because
I don't
started
give a fuck
promoting
about
them.
Brege. Read the super chat.
Yeah, right. Yeah, by the way, I want a new t-shirt. My friend's got a brain tumor. My friend's got a brain tumor.
Gangster, £5. This is for Mike the Snake. Little Dave, $2. You go, girl. Narc is an asshole. Yes.
Yes.
But he's our asshole.
$220 we made for Mike the Snake. What do? You give him a fucking pizza.
Look, Archie,
that was an anomaly. That was an anomaly, And again, I'm eternally grateful to everybody who donated.
How was that pizza? We still haven't. Mikey, I want to get you more pizza.
He's not talking about a pizza. He's not talking about a pizza.
Yeah, no.
You're a
Pizza's
cheap
fine for
fuck,
you,
Archie.
Archie.
$3,000 so you can fucking draw Paddington bears. You can do that with a $10 fucking big
Look at
pen.
this is what she said to me. She said to me, Archie, come and sit in. I want to rest in her bosoms. I'm going in Feb, okay? It's over. The secret's out now, okay? Yeah, fuck the family. I've been sleeping on the fucking fold-out fucking mattress every night. I want to sit. I want to put my face into those bosoms.
You know, look.
You and everybody
Yes,
else.
I do. Yes, Narc. I'm sick of eating the shit that my family serves up to me. I fucking had enough.
You know his tits. I think he thinks in Dave's titties. Dave's titties. They're real. These are not real.
I'm going with.
Dave's
I'm gonna
got real
see her.
titties.
You know what? Our favorite. food
Dave's
is
got real
there.
titties.
We're going for Vietnamese. We got a really good restaurant we go to. We're having a what? And what's wrong with that? What is wrong if we're both two people are happy, Narc?
Did she put cream in your cock? You said you're
That
going
was
to
the doctor. That's the doctor. That was the doctor, the gynecologist I was dating.
Yeah, just 1 second. You fat fuck. I'm trying to visualize you putting a condom on.
Hey!
You stumbling, trying to open the condom packaging. Fuck. It's like the fucking... What was that appliance? The grass cutter. Fuck. I can't open this. Fuck.
We got a super chat from Frank B. $2. This is for Mike the Snake Pizza and Rat Exterminator.
I reckon you can't. I want to see you open a condom package on fucking stream. You got some condoms there. There's no way you can fucking do it.
You give me some money to fucking pay, because Narc, you killed my business. You killed my business, you lousy fuck.
Is he confusing?
Yeah, I think you're mixing. No. I don't think he's even talking about Curly. Like, I think Pavel here in the chat had said it correctly. Where the hell? Okay, here we go. This is from Pavel. Archie, do you agree with this or not? Why don't you read it out?
Pavel, I thought it was Powie that killed the business. Yeah, that's right. Powie, not Pavel. Powie.
You got one more super chat from Little Dave.
Little Dave, $2. The Narc, aka Richie Papalakalas, is from Chromastan.
You accusing me of being a child molester? Has he gone all watch reporter on us? Has Little Dave's gone all watch reporter on us?
There's a lot of Watch Reporter fans out there, man, apparently.
You start paying Mike the Snake, you cheap fuck. $3,000 pen?
The chat wants to pay...
Not from Archie.
Oh, well, not from Archie?
Yeah, because I don't want
from Mrs. Lai. Look, I asked, she said to me, Archie, what do you want? What you want, big boy? What you want?
Hey, how you going, buddy? What you want?
All I want to do is rest in your bosoms. She said, I get you gift. What you want? She goes, I want to give you a gift like the back of the Rolls Royce we sit on. We sit in the back of the Rolls Royce.
Hey, Tan, you know what he said yesterday? What he goes, when he meets his 75-year-olds, this is what he said. They think he's a YouTube mystery international playboy.
Oh my God, Archie, what kind of bullshit are you saying? What kind of bullshit are you spruiking here? We got HR joining us as well.
And I've got the clips.
How are you?
And I've got the clips.
Puffin stuff. HR puffin stuff.
Wait. I'm off. You can see me on
mute. Wait. No, listen. You're overexposed. You're on this channel too much. Fuckface.
Anyway, I'm off. You see me on Watch Thing because I'll be playing some clips of Archie talking about his ex-girlfriend.
How are you?
Okay.
Putting cream on his cock and other stuff.
Yeah, you get it, Curly.
The language. There's a lady on the stream, Narc. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth, Narc.
HR doesn't mind.
Watch your mouth, Narc.
I'm much dirtier than him, anyway.
Oh, we got Kay. Kay. Sorry, I thought it was HR we're talking about.
Kay. We love
Kay.
Kay.
How you going? How you going, sweetie? Honey, boo. How are you?
Okay.
You good?
I think Kay is fantastic. I think
Hey,
you're
you
fantastic, Kay.
Thanks.
Mike, can you show Kay Little Meech?
Hey, Kay, I got
Let's
special
cue,
things.
let's cue Ross Rusher Bailey. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, this is Little Meech. He talked about this though because he pitied a fool.
Hey, Mike, cut the fucking foreplay out. Cut the foreplay out.
What the hell is going on? What is going on the stream?
Hey, are you interfering?
It's crazy. It's out of control, man.
Yeah, I like hearing.
You interference. Mike goes to his furry conventions.
Hey, do you believe in orbs? Do you believe in orbs, Kay? Do you believe in orbs?
I gotta go. Bye.
See you, Narc.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you believe in orbs? Do you talk to them?
Talk to who?
The orbs.
Oh, no, I don't know anything about that.
Kay's a doll collector, HR.
Oh, the dolls. I thought you said the elves. Do I talk to the elves? I'm like, what?
No, talking about orbs.
ORBS. Do you believe in orbs? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Orbs.
No, none of my dolls are haunted, I swear.
What the fuck?
Archie, you got a bunch of your bears behind you. You've been trying to show them off. Kay's obviously the expert. So why don't you show us some of those bears for Kay?
Yeah, Kay. I've been buying some bears lately. Okay, I really love my bears. You know what I mean? Bears are just okay. So I'll show you some bears I got. Firstly, we got this little guy here. I bought him with tags. I like the bears with the tags. This here is the it's an official Paddington release, actually. Okay,
right on that arse.
I just bought this one.
Paddington. I've seen the movies.
These are quite affordable, actually. Nice Paddington.
My mom has vintage ones.
Your mom had what?
A bunch of vintage Paddington.
Did she get much for them? I got another Harrods doll.
Ooh, he looks like a one of those soldiers that stands with the horse in front of the palace. Those horses fight.
I got one of these Paddingtons. It's got this one here. This is
cute.
Yeah, I'm just working on him. He's a cool. That's a cool Paddington bear. So this one here, he's also an official Paddington release.
Oh.
Okay. I like to buy the official stuff. I got this one.
Wow, you got quite the collection, Archie.
So this is actually a Paddington. It's Paddington bear. I want the official one. So that's quite a nice Paddington.
Yeah.
I also got. I got a few more. I got more. There's more. Okay, there's more. I got more. I got another one of these.
Ooh. Ooh. Hey, wait a minute. That looks like the face looks just like my favorite bear, and I bought like 3 of the exact bear because I lost them in a fire. You like my pic? It's for you guys. It's not my real boobs. I just got it off the internet.
Hey, that's okay. Just keep the mystery, Kay. I'm sure your boobs are just as good.
Well, I just figured they said show your tits, so I got some tits off the internet.
Well,
I got this bear as well. This is another Harrods one.
Yeah,
a little Scottish guy.
And I've also got another Paddington bear here.
Traditional,
The red
nothing
Paddington.
on underneath the kilt.
Oh, I like that one.
No. I'm looking for the tag, the official Paddington bear tag, because there's copies.
I like his boots. His boots are nice and snazzy.
Yeah.
I've been buying the bears, Kay. What do you recommend, Kay?
I like to buy Rushton Company bears and Knickerbocker bears from the 1950s. They're worth a lot of money. They're kind of expensive, though.
You know, I go antique shopping not terribly often, but now Paddington bears and the like are going to be on my list of things to be looking for when I go to the antique shops.
Yeah, I love them. I love Paddington bear. Always the Paddington bears are the quality bears. You want quality. You don't want cheap discount bear. I don't want a Walmart brand bear.
Yep.
You know, I want a premium bear. I want
Same with dolls. You gotta get the good stuff.
Yeah, I want the good stuff. I don't want the cheap, nasty shit. You know, okay. Is that you? You look amazing. Is that you? Fuck. You got better boobs than that woman anyhow. Fuck.
Thanks.
Wow. And I got to tell you, so I got the Paddingtons. We got the Paddingtons and I got the Harrods bears. I'm adding more. So, because I want to come and visit you, Kay. Is that okay?
Visit me?
Yes. Is that okay? In the future?
Maybe. I'm in California. Everything's on fire here.
I was going to bring a few bears with me.
Hopefully they don't catch fire. Have you seen them? They're insane.
It's
Yeah,
crazy
no, I
stuff.
lost my house to the Northern California fires 7 years ago, and
I lost
almost.
mine 5 years ago to the Southern California.
Yeah, and I almost lost the house that I'm in now 3 years ago in another different forest fire.
Well, as long as you have insurance, you're good.
Yeah,
Mikey got fucked on the insurance.
I did on my first
He got a
house.
technicality, fucked him over.
Yeah, yeah. The lady wrote the wrong address on the policy, and they were terribly sorry, but they couldn't pay a penny. And yeah,
I'm sure they were really sorry, Mike.
like I said that facetiously, because they're not sorry, because their first order of business is to figure out a way to not have to pay. Then their second order of business is to pay as little as possible.
Wait. Okay. Look, let's give you a warning. Look, Archie's a catch, right? Why don't you visit him? He lives in a mansion. You can stay in one of his many rooms. Why don't you visit him down under? He's got a mansion, a sprawling mansion. His maid's got a fucking her own bathroom, ensuite. There's no fold-out beds in his fucking house. He's a man of luxury. Okay, this guy, look, you got 2 kids. You said you got 2 kids, right? With special needs. Yeah. This guy's a good father, right? He can support you, mentor them. You got to catch it. You got to catch. Don't let him go. I'm gonna give you advice. Rich chick. She found a guy, Red Sluggo. They're happy together now. That's what you do here. You grab this man. You don't let him go. Just visit him down under. Am I cock blocking here?
Cock blocking?
Seriously, Kay, fly down under. Live in this mansion, rent free.
In Australia?
Yes, Queensland.
Oh.
Show pics. Look, this is a little office. He shows it. Look, look, just want people to know he lives in a mansion. See, this is a set. This is not his real house. This is his set. Look what kind of idiot sleeps in that fucking room. Do you think he's going to fall that bad? You must be fucking kidding. This is a set.
Hey, we got a super chat here from Patel Philippe. $5. I dropped to join the chat. Thanks, Mike the Snake, for joining me. You are my favorite character on the show.
Oh, thanks, Dan. You rock, man. I love you. Love you right back.
Here we go.
It was such an honor to meet Tan.
All right, you're overselling it, Mike. Just say thank you. That's it. Leave it at that. Leave it at that. No, you're overselling it. Just say thank you and leave it at that. Why do you have to lick his balls?
Why do you have to fucking run on and be so fucking loud and obnoxious?
1 minute. I gotta say goodbye.
Drama.
You see how he's walking out? Look, this is a set, Kay. Right?
What?
You don't look, this is a set. Look, this string. That's a set. It doesn't live in that. The guy's international celebrity, Kay. Forget Joe Cannoli. All right, he's got a great voice.
This is the box they come in.
That's one of his maids. That's one of his servants.
I think that's one of his sons.
That's his servants.
Yeah. His 2 younger sons are very high
servants.
Really great kids.
I shop at the thrift stores and smoke weed. I don't think you like me.
Say hello to the crew. Say hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, man.
I'll be back in a minute. I'll be back 1 minute.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, Kay. Beer and weed is just fine, but heavy drugs, no.
Yeah, I smoke a lot of pot.
Yeah, I used to.
Well, I have a abnormally large chest, so my back hurts.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, and pot does help a lot of people with pain. Do you use any of the salves or the creams? The CBD creams for pain?
CBD, I think.
I'm really sick of this, Narc. I'm really fucking sick of you. You know that. I don't like your mouth, Narc.
Well, he's
Where's
kind
Narc?
of. He dropped off.
Fuck! Why did he drop? I was just teasing him.
Well, he's not teasing, I don't think, or maybe he is, but you don't know when he is, and he just comes in guns blazing. So every fucking time, it's like overkill. It's like I want to just cover my ears when he jumps on.
I know. I'll show you. Do you want to have a look at some cars? I got rid of the Beamer, Mikey.
Yeah. Kay, do you like cars?
My dad's a car guy.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm a total motorhead since a young age. I race cars. I built hot rods. I built cars from scratch.
Same with my dad.
I'm a total motorhead.
Here we go.
What are we looking at? I can't see it because
there's a super chat in the way.
Yep, there is. Middle of the road. If it was a deer, it'd be a dead deer now. That's what we got to worry about up here in Northern California is like right around dusk. Man, that's like the witching hour. The deer just come out. They're going to the creeks to drink. And
okay, Mikey, I got to move the Mercedes Benz. Oh Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz, Mikey? Let's go and have a look.
Gonzo with Archie. Here we go.
I'll show you. So we've got one car in here. I'll show you one car. Okay.
So
Beamer's been replaced. Beamer's been replaced.
Do you like the Mercedes more than your Beamer? Archie?
What do you think of this? Look in front of you. What's on the screen, Mikey?
Yeah, no, it's a nice Audi. It's very nice.
Yeah, baby Audi. Baby.
It's like a mini SUV, right?
Yeah, they couldn't sell this red, so I got a deal on the red. The red, they couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted it.
Oh, I love red, man.
I love it too. I gotta move the Mercedes. Mike. I gotta move the Mercedes.
Hey,
move the Mercedes, Mike.
Do you like the Mercedes more than your BMW?
I like the Mercedes more than life itself, Mike.
Wow.
Let's go and have a look. I gotta move the Mercedes. Let's have a look. We're gonna move the Mercedes.
Move
the Mercedes.
What year is the Merc?
2018.
2000 what?
18. 18.
Oh, okay. You're cutting out a little bit there. I didn't hear it. 18. Okay. So 6 years old, 7 years old. That's not too old. That's a beautiful car.
I have a 1937 Chevy Coupe.
Oh, nice. You do, Kay?
Yeah, it's my inheritance from my dad.
Wow, you are one styly chick, I gotta say. Just seeing what you wear in your pictures and stuff, I can just I've met women like you, and you're tops in my book. And a 37, what was it? A 37 Chevy?
Chevy Coupe is a flat gray color. My dad likes flat colors for some reason.
Yeah, flat colors are cool, especially that. What's really popular these days is that primer gray.
The primer gray. That's what color it is.
Yeah, but they do it in a smooth, not flat finish, and it looks really good. It's just a nice color. I'm seeing on. It's becoming more popular. But you have a. Would you say you had a 37 Chevy?
Yeah, coupe, and then
Wow. You know, that's one of the coolest looking coupes to make into a hot rod ever.
Sorry, I did have a 1974 Chevy Nova with like naked ladies engraved on the back window.
Wow.
That was my first
Who
stop.
says, real quick, I got to interject. Hello, everybody. Who says Mikey has no game? Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing Mike in his natural environment. Remember, this man has a lot of experience with the fair sex, and he is working it. And I just sit back, listen, Kay. Hopefully, you feel safe. If you don't, blink twice. Go ahead, Mikey. Continue.
I pretty much said my say, but I'm impressed with the cars that she's mentioned, and I think that's ultra cool. And like I said as well, seeing how she dresses and stuff. You like couture, right?
I
You love
like 50s style.
yeah, the couture.
Oh, I love 50s. I still live there.
Yeah. So women that dress in the older, vintage clothing and dresses and stuff, and especially the more risque stuff is awesome. It's just awesome.
Yes, Mikey, you hit it on the head, Mikey.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the safe, by the way, Mikey.
Looks good, Art.
Burglars, take note. Burglars, take note. Burglars, take note. What do you think? What do you think, sir?
I think you need an alarm system to protect the
Yeah.
I got an alarm. And did you see these devices flashing? I got alarms. Three camera systems.
Paul,
what did they say when it took to get through into your first safe, Arch? Like 2 hours?
No, 4.
8 hours.
8 hours? Okay,
It's
so
just
this is like a 10-hour safe, right?
I just want to make sure, is your password 1212? Or you know what, guys? Archie's password might indeed be Mrs. Lai. MRSLAI. The only question is there a dot? And where'd you go, Arch? Why am I back?
We're back. No, I had to move the Mercedes. I wanted to show you the Mercedes.
This much check.
Ooh, you're wearing the Sprite. No, guys, I haven't sold the
Archie
Beamer.
style.
I wish I'd sold the Beamer, Mikey. I wish. Believe you me.
Yeah, no, you're kind of stuck in a hole with that one. You might have to take
Yeah.
a bath on that one, Arch. But I'm used to it, so it's no big deal for me.
Speaking of
But
holes,
you're-
Mike, I
you're
gotta
not
say,
used to it.
Mikey, speaking of holes, I gotta say, I admire your moves. You got some game, my friend.
Mikey has
Thank you,
game.
Mark.
You know that? We got a
Mark.
super chat here. We got Tech Genia, $3. Arch, what's the diet? You visibly lost weight. Actually, can I tell you the truth? Can I tell you the truth? Please, I'm going to tell you the truth.
You've gained weight.
I was dating this woman who was running an illegal mahjong table. Okay, she was running an illegal mahjong table, and she would take me out 2 or 3 or 4 times a week. She'd have huge day at her little mini casino, and we'd always go out and eat like pigs. Okay.
Now, you ate pigs, or you'd eat like pigs?
We ate pigs, and we would
both.
eat like pigs.
Both.
And it was always banquet. And anyhow, we had a small, how do I put this? We had a small little, she needed help with a visa, but because obviously I'm,
Right, you don't say.
I couldn't actually help her with the visa troubles. I couldn't organize a fiance visa because
She had to get rid of you. So she got rid of you because you were not useful.
Well, actually, I didn't call her anymore.
Ah.
Because I realized I'm an asshole who just eats her expensive. So anyhow, guess what? Since then, I haven't been eating a week's calories in every meal.
The difference is you've just changed a little bit of your habit because the free lunch ticket has been punched.
The free meal ticket is over. It's over. And you guys think I'm joking. No. Let me bring up a picture of my lady friend on the screen. Here we go. That's the new one in Shenzhen.
Well, how
photoshopped?
What do you think, Kay? Does that look real to you?
Not really, but the tits look nice.
Well, they do, but they don't look real, do they? Really?
It
No.
doesn't matter. You know, Mark, it doesn't matter. When you're in the back of the Bentley and you're snuggling in there, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I feel like if you motorboated that, you could actually asphyxiate yourself. You could get stuck in there and just die of oxygen deprivation.
I gotta tell you, Marky, I honestly, so that relationship ended, and that's why I've lost so much weight, because I'm too cheap. I'm a cheap fuck. I'm not going to go to.
Oh, we know. You left to your own devices. You go to the noodle shop by the pond.
The new one bought me this pen, Mark. This new one just bought me this. She goes, "What would you like?" And she goes,
Archie,
I want to get you something
you're fucking,
like the
you're fucking up the narrative.
Back of the Rolls Royce.
You're fucking up the narrative, Archie, because we were with you when you bought that pen on eBay.
Oh, sorry.
We're fucking up the. I mean,
oops.
I feel like it's very important that you remember.
So she reimbursed me, okay? Fuckface.
Good catch, Mark.
Please remember the narrative. Also, another point of order. I have it understood that an Australian can sponsor only 2 women in a lifetime for fiancé visas, so that you cannot become a serial. See, in America, there's no limit, but I believe in Australia, there's a limit of 2.
I'll be 1 minute. I gotta say.
He's gonna go hawk something up, guys.
Hello, how are you?
So,
hello.
What was your comment, Mark, about what was that?
Well,
fiancé limit.
Fiancé visa, yeah. Like in America, it's a K1 visa, so you can. I mean, you got to apply for the visa. You got to be granted it. But like, let's say you meet a Filipino woman in the Philippines, a K1 visa, I think it's called. You can get her over here with a 90-day fiance visa, and that gives her 90 days to marry you. If she doesn't marry you, she loses her visa. She got to go.
Okay.
Hey, I got to move the Mercedes again. Fuck. I'll be back.
Right. Okay. Well, shit, Mikey. It's just you and me again.
Oh man. Well, it could be worse.
Could.
Me and you together, and with Kay.
I know.
That's a power trio.
Well, yes, but it's not my kind of threesome. But
I know. But you can't always get everything you want.
That is true. But if you try sometimes, you just might find
you get what you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mikey, I got to plug in because my computer is now saying it's going to die. So bear with me while I plug this. Anyway,
do it.
If you get if you can bring a woman over here on a 90-day fiance visa, and then you can marry her, and then begins the immigration process to get her a green card, work permit, permanent residency, blah 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 blah. But you can only, in Australia, I think you can only do that X number of times. In America, I'm not sure there's a numerical limit.
Okay. I learn something new every day.
I guarantee you, there's somebody in the comments in America who has married a foreign woman, brought her over on a K1 visa.
I did. I married a foreign woman.
Did you do that, Kay?
Yeah, definitely, for her big titty.
Now, where did you bring her from? Sri Lanka, Indonesia, North Korea. Where'd you get your big tittied woman? And Mike, by the way, we realize now you got no chance, Mike. Sorry.
I know I never had a chance in the first place.
Well, because your titties are way too small. I mean, they're large for a man. They're generous size, but they're hairy. And
I've been working on it. I can't get them any bigger than like a B cup, And
I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
Have you heard of a G cup?
No, I'm joking.
No,
mine are.
What do you got? What do you got going on down there?
No, I said B as in boy cup because I got man boobies because I'm a little bit overweight
that just means eating.
Kay, you're muffled, Kay. Can you fix your mic somehow? I don't know. I want to hear you better.
Oh, my mic.
Yeah, you just sound real muffly.
Muffled. Okay.
Like if you're on ear pods or some kind of headset, maybe it's not good. I don't know what it is.
I have a little picture of me on a motorcycle back like when I was younger. You can see what I looked like in my prime.
Oh, Mikey, I personally would like to look, and I'm going to add that right to the Spank Bank.
All right.